Chapter 119. The burning bloody black gold sword turned into a blue sword ray that was several meters long. It slashed towards Yang Dingtian's head as if it could split mountains and seas. Wow, this is the energy of a 9-star mystic martial warrior. That's right, from the length and color of the sword ray, it was obvious that Qin Shaobai was using the energy of a 9-star mystic martial warrior. If Yang Dingtian hadn't broken through to Mystic Martial Warrior and was still a 9-star Mystic Martial Warrior, this move would have turned him into ashes. Pig-slaying swordsmanship, split in two. Bang! Yang Dingtian held the sword with both hands and leaped into the air, using the 7th move of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. After injecting his mystic chi, the Night Owl Greatsword extended a 2-meter-long sword ray and slashed upwards. Yang Dingtian really did break through. It's actually the sword ray of a beginner mystic martial warrior. Everyone was in an uproar. They didn't expect Yang Dingtian to break through to mystic martial warrior in just a few days. Boom! The two sword rays collided. A dazzling light burst out in the air, and the dust on the ground shook. Qin Shaobai landed lightly on the ground. After Yang Dingtian landed, he took 4 steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. It was clear who won in the first move. Qin Shaobai looked coldly at Yang Dingtian. I didn't expect you to break through to Mystic Martial Warrior. It's really shocking. It's only been a few days. Yang Dingtian wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled coldly. He didn't respond. But, so what? Qin Shaobai raised his head and sneered. It's only the first move, and you spat out blood. What are you going to do next? You don't think I'm just a 9-star mystic martial warrior, do you? Then, Qin Shaobai raised the bloody black gold sword again and injected his mystic chi. Boom! The bloody black gold sword burned fiercely again. Qin Shaobai stood in place and aimed at Yang Dingtian's waist and slashed. Swish! A 4-meter-long yellow sword ray. Primal Chaos Annihilating Sword, the second move, Heaven and Earth Annihilation. Wow! This is the sword aura of a black martial master. Immediately, everyone stood up and looked at Qin Shaobai in shock. Shimin Yanyan and Ningning exclaimed almost at the same time. Qin Shaobai, this viper really concealed his strength, he really broke through to black martial master. If Qin Shaobai was only a mystic martial warrior, even if it was a 9-star mystic martial warrior, then Yang Dingtian would still have the power to fight. However, Qin Shaobai was indeed a mystic martial master, so there was practically no need to fight. Fighting someone of a higher rank was truly a death sentence. It was as if everyone could see Yang Dingtian being cut in half at the waist. Pig-slaying swordsmanship, sword into the chopping board, ah! With a loud roar, the Night Owl Greatsword in Yang Dingtian's hand abruptly elongated to 20 feet long and stabbed into the ground, intercepting Qin Shaobai's lightning-fast sword light. Boom! There was a loud noise. Qin Shaobai's sword light fiercely chopped onto the Night Owl Greatsword, bursting out a dazzling light. The center of the plaza suddenly exploded. Huge rocks flew everywhere and the soil was overturned. The place where the two sword auras collided was directly blown into a deep pit with a diameter of several feet. As for Yang Dingtian, he flew out like a piece of straw. He stabbed the Night Owl Greatsword into the ground, wanting to stop his body from flying out. The greatsword cut through the ground of the plaza, cutting through the hard stones and bursting out a string of sparks. 10 meters, 20 meters, 30 meters, after a total of 35 meters, Yang Dingtian finally managed to stop his rapid retreat. The entire plaza had a 35-meter-long deep fissure cut open by him. PFFF. After stopping his retreat, blood spurted out from his nose and mouth like a rain of arrows. Yang Dingtian's face was completely bloodless like golden paper. However, he still didn't die. Everyone cried out in shock. In the second move, Yang Dingtian displayed the strength of a 3-star mystic martial warrior. Yang Dingtian was actually a 3-star mystic martial warrior. How was this possible? In just a few days, he actually broke through 4 levels. This was really too terrifying. Instantly, the rumors about Yang Dingtian and Madame Shimin, the rumors about Yang Dingtian using the profound devouring great technique to break through, had already turned into ashes. But even so, Yang Dingtian should still be dead without a doubt. A 3-star mystic martial warrior against a mystic martial master, fighting across levels, would definitely result in death. But why didn't Yang Dingtian die? Of course, it's because of Yang Dingtian's 9 Yang profound veins. Back then at Yinyang School, Yang Dingtian was only an initiate. He didn't die even after receiving Zhu Hongshue's shocking attack. Under Shimin Wuya's infusion of profound qi and treatment, he still woke up and completely recovered. Therefore, even though Yang Dingtian was only a low-level mystic martial warrior, his profound veins' ability to resist attacks was already extremely strong. If Qin Xiaobai's powerful profound qi hit someone else, their meridians might be instantly destroyed and their entire body would turn into a pile of mush. But to Yang Dingtian, his profound veins were only slightly damaged. In the previous attack, Yanyan Shimin immediately closed her eyes, not daring to look. She was afraid that she would see Yang Dingtian's blood splattered on the spot. She only dared to open her eyes when she heard everyone's shocked voices. She saw that Yang Dingtian was still alive, even though he was half kneeling on the ground without any blood on his face. Her heart was relieved and sad, and she almost fainted. Yang Dingtian supported himself with the Night Owl greatsword and struggled to stand up. He said to Qin Xiaobai, "Is this all you've got? You can't kill me. You said before, if you can't kill me within 5 moves, you lose." Right now, Qin Xiaobai's face was filled with shock. It wasn't because Yang Dingtian displayed the strength of a 3-star mystic martial warrior, even though this was already shocking enough. What shocked him was that the strength of a mystic martial master was actually unable to kill a mystic martial warrior. Previously, in order to boost morale, he said in front of 10,000 people that he would definitely kill Yang Dingtian within 5 moves. If Yang Dingtian didn't die within 5 moves, then it would be his, Qin Xiaobai's, loss, and Shimin Yanyan Shimin would be considered innocent. Qin Xiaobai was filled with absolute confidence when he said those words. In reality, he had absolute confidence that he would be able to kill Yang Dingtian in the second move. Saying that it would be 5 moves was already a lot more relaxed. But he didn't expect that Yang Dingtian wouldn't die after the second move. Instantly, Qin Xiaobai couldn't help but feel some regret. After hearing Yang Dingtian's words, Qin Xiaobai said coldly, "What's the rush? It's only the second move. There are still 3 more moves. You've already lost half of your life. I want to see how you're going to defend against my third move." Once these words were said, Yang Yan and the others immediately relaxed. They were shocked because Yang Dingtian didn't die after the second move. They didn't expect that Yang Dingtian only had half of his life left. Qin Xiaobai's following moves would definitely be stronger than the previous one. Yang Dingtian definitely wouldn't be able to defend against them. He might even die in the third move. Primal Chaos Exterminating Sword, third move, Sun and Moon Decay. Qin Xiaobai roared loudly and shot into the air like a meteor. The bloody black gold sword in his hand danced. The sword suddenly shot out a dazzling sword light that was 13 feet long. The light danced in the air and emitted a dazzling brilliance that almost blocked the light of the 2 suns. Die, Yang Dingtian, the brilliance reached its peak. Qin Xiaobai's body once again shot towards Yang Dingtian like a meteor. The sword light in his hand spun crazily, forming a death whirlpool that swept towards Yang Dingtian's body. In an instant, the area around Yang Dingtian was engulfed by the sword light, and his figure instantly vanished. Such a huge sword light devouring formation made it impossible for people to dodge. Seeing Yang Dingtian's body completely engulfed and disappeared without a trace, Qin Xiaobai revealed a sinister smile and said, "Let's see if you're still not dead now." Yang Yan let out a long sigh of relief and sneered, "Yang Dingtian is finally dead." Shimin Yanyan let out a miserable cry and spat out a mouthful of blood. Shimin Ningning's face was pale as she muttered to herself, "Little Tian, sister believes you, however, the sword light devouring formation was getting smaller and smaller. Shimin Ningning's body gradually became colder and colder, and the hatred and killing intent in her eyes became stronger and stronger. What mission? What mission? I don't care about any of it. As long as Yang Dingtian dies, then everyone here will die with him. Tens of thousands of people will die with him. Shimin Ningning spat out cold and bloodthirsty words. Then, a green light shot out from her eyes. Her hands danced in her sleeves, and a terrifying green light began to spread out from her body. We'll die together. Everyone will be buried with Yang Dingtian, including me. Immediately, an incomparably poisonous and powerful green energy was about to burst out from Ningning's body. At the same time, Mrs. Shimin suddenly pulled out her sharp sword, circulated her profound qi, and was about to rush down. However, just as she circulated her profound qi, she immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Her entire body collapsed, and she collapsed back to her seat. Bang! Suddenly, a white light pierced through Qin Xiaobai's sword light devouring formation and flew dozens of meters into the sky. Then, it suddenly landed on the ground, shattering dozens of huge rocks on the ground. Yang Dingtian had broken through Qin Xiaobai's sword formation. After Yang Dingtian landed on the ground, the clothes on his body were almost completely tattered, and his entire body was riddled with wounds. Qin Xiaobai's sword light devouring formation was too astonishing. As long as one was swept into it, it would be as if there were countless sharp blades cutting them and countless energy bombarding them. Even if Yang Dingtian had the incomparably powerful 9 Yang profound veins, he could withstand the powerful profound qi damage. However, this was a naked physical injury. It directly crushed Yang Dingtian into meat paste. No matter how strong the 9 Yang profound veins was, it was useless. Seeing that Yang Dingtian had actually broken through his sword light devouring formation, Qin Xiaobai said in disbelief, "Impossible? How could you break through my sword formation? How is this possible? Hanging a sheep's head, selling dog meat." Yang Dingtian said coldly, "Are you sure this is the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword? Others might not be able to escape from the devil devouring sword formation, but I know where the flaws are. I can easily break through the formation." That's right, in order to kill Yang Dingtian, Qin Xiaobai's third move seemed to be the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword Sun and Moon Decay on the surface. In fact, he was using the devil devouring sword formation of the evil sect. This sword formation was created by the leader of the evil ways hundreds of years ago, the master of the burial sword pool, Ouyang Yuanma. When this sword formation was activated, the sword formation could not overdraft the user's energy. It could also condense and devour the profound qi in the surroundings, making its lethality unparalleled. However, he did not expect that Qin Xiaobai actually knew the martial arts of the evil ways. Moreover, in order to kill Yang Dingtian, he actually risked exposing himself by using this devil-devouring sword formation. For hundreds of years, it was unknown how many experts of famous sects had been destroyed by this devil-devouring sword formation. Dongfang Minmi spent a lot of effort to find the flaws of this devil-devouring sword formation. In the midst of extreme danger, Yang Dingtian followed Dongfang Minmi's instructions and rushed towards the most dangerous part of the sword formation. As expected, he rushed out of the formation. Hearing the 4 words devil-devouring sword formation, Qin Xiaobai's expression changed slightly. He then sneered and said, "What devil-devouring sword formation? I don't know. This is clearly the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword Sun and Moon Decay. If it was really some devil-devouring sword formation, how could you still be alive?" Yang Dingtian wiped the blood on his face and said while gasping for breath, "I won't argue with you. This sword formation should be your trump card. Even this can't kill me. What should you do? There are only 2 moves left. If you still can't kill me, you've lost. Is that so? Are you in such a hurry to court death?" Qin Xiaobai sneered and said, "Now, you probably only have a quarter of your life left. I still have 2 moves left. I'd like to see if I can kill you or not." Finished speaking, Qin Xiaobai's figure rushed towards Yang Dingtian like lightning. The bloody black gold sword in his hand pierced towards Yang Dingtian's head. "Let's see if you die like this," Qin Shaobai sneered and said. Yang Dingtian possessed powerful profound veins talent and could withstand powerful profound qi damage. Then, Qin Shaobai chose to fight in close quarters and directly use his sword to kill Yang Dingtian. "Your profound veins can withstand my profound qi, but they can't withstand my sharp sword." Primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer Sword's fourth move, Star's Transformation. As his voice fell, the sword in Qin Shaobai's hand carried a whistling roar as it quickly pierced towards Yang Dingtian's entire body. The speed was incomparably fast, and the moves were incomparably profound. There was no sword light, but profound qi was still poured into the sword, immediately causing the incomparably hard and sharp bloody black gold sword to become truly indestructible. A sword duel? I'd like to see if there's any move that can compare to the pig-slaying swordsmanship. Yang Dingtian sneered in his heart. He gritted his teeth and endured the intense pain all over his body as he raised his sword to meet the attack. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The sword in Qin Shaobai's hand was like a poisonous snake. Every sword spat out a powerful aura. Bang bang bang. The sword aura struck the hard boulder in the plaza, leaving a deep hole. Qin Shaobai's sword was very, very fast. It was even faster than lightning, faster than Yang Dingtian. In a second, he directly stabbed out dozens of times. Every sword carried an incomparably powerful profound qi, causing the tip of the sword to be completely indestructible. Yang Dingtian's sword speed was not as fast as Qin Shaobai's, but he won in the profoundness of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. At this moment, when Yang Dingtian used the pig-slaying swordsmanship, there were no specific moves at all, and he would not completely follow the rigid moves in the secret manual. He, who had already used the pig-slaying swordsmanship more than 100,000 times, had completely mastered it. He had broken down the 9 moves of the pig-slaying swordsmanship into countless moves, organizing and matching them at will. Therefore, even though Qin Shaobai's sword was very fast, Yang Dingtian was still able to block it. Suddenly, in the middle of the plaza, it was as if only the stars could be seen. Countless shadows of sword blades were modeled, extremely mysterious and dazzling. The tens of thousands of people present did not expect that they would be able to see such a mysterious sword duel in this duel. One had to know that in this world, sword techniques were definitely not mainstream. Especially for experts, it was a battle of profound qi, a battle of profound technique, and a battle of martial spirit. Therefore, in this world, the only person who could rely solely on sword techniques to become an expert was Yin-Yang School's adjudicator, Shadowless. Therefore, in terms of sword techniques, this duel between Yang Dingtian and Qin Shaobai could be said to be a rare duel between experts in decades. Clang clang clang, the two of them were getting faster and faster. In almost an instant, their swords had collided hundreds of times. Every collision brought about a string of sparks. Therefore, in an instant, countless sparks bloomed, and countless cold lights flickered from the tip of the sword. And at this moment, Yang Dingtian seemed to be in the abyss of hell. He could still endure Qin Shaobai's sword that was getting faster and faster, but what he was completely unable to endure was that the profound energy in Qin Shaobai's every sword strike was getting fiercer and fiercer. Every collision was a swift and fierce destruction to his profound veins. However, he still had to forcefully withstand every terrifying impact. As long as he missed a sword, this sword would directly pierce through his head. Ding 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 ding, Qin Shaobai's sword was like a torrential storm as it rained down on Yang Dingtian. Every sword carried with it a soaring profound qi energy. In the following dozens of swords, Yang Dingtian spat out a mouthful of blood every time he received a sword. In an instant, dozens of swords were slashed, and blood spurted out like raindrops. Immediately after, Yang Dingtian's arm that was holding the sword cracked like a net, and even the skin on half of his body cracked inch by inch. In an instant, half of Yang Dingtian's body spurted out blood. He had already reached his limit. One had to know that Qin Shaobai's profound qi energy was several times more than Yang Dingtian's, or even more than 10 times. As long as he received one more sword, perhaps Yang Dingtian's body would not be able to withstand it and directly explode. Seeing that Yang Dingtian was about to die, the corner of Qin Xiaobai's mouth revealed a sinister smile. Even though he was shameless, because this fourth move was really too long. But he had only used the fourth move of the Primal Chaos Heaven Exterminating Sword, Star's Transformation. The ground in the center of the plaza was almost completely dyed red by Yang Dingtian's blood. The tens of thousands of people in the plaza clearly saw that Yang Dingtian was practically a bloody man as he fought with Qin Xiaobai. This duel might not be the most powerful duel they had ever seen, but it was definitely one of the bloodiest and most tragic duels. Everyone sighed in their hearts. If they were in Yang Dingtian's place, they would have been finished long ago. How would they be able to hold on until now? On the city wall, Shimin Ju looked at Yang Dingtian, who was covered in blood. The corner of his mouth revealed a strange sneer, and the fist hidden in his sleeve clenched tightly. At this moment, Yang Dingtian was about to collapse and be destroyed at any moment. Because of his injuries, because of Qin Xiaobai's powerful destructive power, his consciousness and willpower were getting weaker and weaker. There seemed to be a voice ringing in his mind. Quickly use the evil soul art, quickly use the soul tool ring. There is a powerful soul inside. As long as you sense it, then use soul explosion, all the problems will be solved. Qin Xiaobai will leave and be instantly killed. Quickly use the evil soul art, quickly use the evil soul art. You will immediately turn defeat into victory. Not only will you save Shimin Yanyan's life, you will also gain the respect and worship of countless people. Quickly use the evil soul art. Quickly use the evil soul art. In Yang Dingtian's mind, there were constantly voices persuading Yang Dingtian to use the evil soul art. There was Shimin Yanyan's voice, Shimin Ningning's voice, and Shimin Wuya's voice. At this moment, the battle was getting more and more intense. Qin Xiaobai's sword was getting more and more violent. The injuries on Yang Dingtian's body were getting more and more serious. He was vomiting more and more blood. He was getting closer and closer to destruction. Child, if you use the evil soul art, I won't blame you. Suddenly, a voice rang in Yang Dingtian's mind again. It was Dongfang Minmi's voice. It's an illusion, an illusion. I don't want to listen. Yang Dingtian roared in his mind. It's not an illusion. It's me, it's Master. Dongfang Minmi said, I won't persuade you to use the evil soul art, but if you use it now, I won't blame you, really? But my soul will be completely polluted. My path to the peak will also be completely destroyed. Yang Dingtian said. But, nothing is more important than life, right? Dongfang Minmi said. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's willpower seemed to be getting weaker and weaker. The urge and temptation to use the evil soul art to instantly kill Qin Xiaobai was getting stronger and stronger. As long as he took out the soul tool ring from his spatial ring and sensed the soul inside, then released this powerful soul puppet, everything would be solved. He could instantly kill Qin Xiaobai. Not only would he save his own life, but he would also save Shimin Yanyan's life. He would also be worshipped by everyone in Cloud Heaven City. Immediately, Yang Dingtian used his mind to sense the soul tool ring in his spatial ring. The ring suddenly became incomparably beautiful and incomparably tempting. Hee, the ugliness of human nature, I know it all too well. Just as Yang Dingtian was about to reach out and touch the soul tool ring, Dugu Zhao's cold laughter suddenly rang in his mind. It was filled with disdain and self-confidence as it mocked him. Wait until you're about to be killed by Qin Xiaobai before you say those words. You will definitely use the evil soul art. I know the ugliness of human nature too well. Dugu Zhao's disdainful laughter rang in his mind again and again. If I use the evil soul art, not only will my soul be completely polluted, I will also completely lose in the spiritual duel with Dugu Zhao. Yang Dingtian thought to himself. Suddenly, his weak mind became strong again. Don't tell me I have to use my defeat with Dugu Zhao to exchange for my victory with Qin Xiaobai? No. Master, I won't use the evil soul art. I definitely won't use the evil soul art. Tell me, if the current me doesn't use the evil soul art, how can I win? Any method, regardless of the risks, regardless of the price. Yang Dingtian asked in his mind. Dongfang Minmi was silent for a second, then said, but there is a 99% chance that you will die. That is to control the sword spirit to fight. This Night Owl Greatsword's original model is Zhao Wuji's failed soul sword. There is a berserk and uncontrollable sword spirit hidden inside. Use your soul to control this sword spirit and fight with Qin Xiaobai. But the result is that you will be able to kill Qin Xiaobai, but your soul will be instantly turned into ashes. That is still better than now. Master, teach me to control the berserk sword spirit to fight. This is my only chance, even if it is a 90% chance of death, even if it is a 100% chance of death. Yang Dingtian said. Dongfang Minmi said, there is an even more serious consequence if you do this, and that is if you come into contact with this berserk sword spirit, then it will have a huge impact on your cultivation of the perfect sword spirit in the future. Maybe this impact will be irreversible. Now, do you still want to choose this path? If you use the evil soul art, it will be more direct and simple. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath. Controlling this berserk sword spirit to fight was almost a 90% chance of death, and even if it succeeded, it would have a huge impact on his cultivation of the sword spirit in the future. But the evil soul art was so simple that it could instantly kill Qin Xiaobai. Master, I have already decided, I will not use the evil soul art. I will use my soul to summon the sword spirit in the Night Owl Greatsword and kill Qin Xiaobai. Chapter 120. I want to use my soul to summon the sword spirit of the Night Owl Greatsword and kill Qin Xiaobai. Yang Dingtian said resolutely. While Yang Dingtian was communicating with his master in his mind, Yang Dingtian was fighting with Qin Xiaobai. Qin Xiaobai had the upper hand and Yang Dingtian was in danger. His life was in danger at any moment. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's feet stopped and the sword in his hand slowed down. Qin Xiaobai was overjoyed and thought, now. Yang Dingtian, it's time for you to die. Qin Xiaobai let out a frenzied howl. The sword in his hand suddenly extended out a sword light that was around 15 meters long. It was thrusting towards Yang Dingtian violently. Instantly, Qin Xiaobai's eyes burst out with a bewitching and bizarre radiance. It was less than half a meter away and even a god wouldn't be able to dodge it. Yang Dingtian raised the Night Owl Greatsword and blocked the powerful sword aura. Bang! The sword aura pierced Yang Dingtian's Night Owl Greatsword and Yang Dingtian's body flew dozens of meters away. Immediately after, Qin Xiaobai let out a sinister smile as the sharp sword in his hand suddenly slashed horizontally towards Yang Dingtian's chest. Primal Chaos Exterminating Sword Technique's fifth move, Destruction of Heaven and Earth. Die, die! Qin Xiaobai roared. Then, the sword aura in Qin Xiaobai's hand expanded to 15 meters. This was the power of a 4-star mystic martial master. That's right, this was Qin Xiaobai's strongest power, a 4-star mystic martial master. Qin Xiaobai was actually a 4-star mystic martial master. He claimed to be a 9-star mystic martial master, but in reality, he was a 4-star mystic martial master. He had 5 levels. His actual strength was several times greater than what he claimed. Shiman Lai and Madame Shiman both knew that Yang Dingtian must have broken through to the mystic martial master level, but they didn't expect him to be a 4-star mystic martial master. He was 1 stage and 11 levels higher than Yang Dingtian. At the last moment, Qin Xiaobai used all of his strength to the limit. After Yang Dingtian's body was slashed into the air, Qin Xiaobai used the 5th move of the Primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer Sword, Destruction of Heaven and Earth. Suddenly, a huge sword light appeared, as if it was going to pierce through the sky. Kill, kill, kill! Qin Xiaobai roared ferociously. He aimed at Yang Dingtian, who was floating in the air, and fiercely slashed out his final sword strike. At this moment, the light in Qin Xiaobai's eyes became even more demonic. Boom! There was a loud noise. The sword light pierced through Yang Dingtian's body and slashed into the hard ground of the square. It was as if he had been struck by lightning, leaving behind a deep scorched mark that was 3 to 4 feet deep and 4 to 5 feet long. Yang Dingtian, who was bleeding profusely, was sent flying dozens of meters away. Yang Yen looked at the 10,000+ people in the square and said in a clear voice, "I announce that Yang Dingtian has lost this duel." Yang Yen hadn't finished speaking when there was an uproar in the square, and everyone's gazes shot towards Qin Xiaobai's back. Qin Xiaobai felt some voices behind him, and he couldn't help but feel a chill run down his spine. He felt a chill run down his spine, and then he turned around. "Impossible, absolutely impossible," Qin Xiaobai muttered to himself. His entire body seemed to have rusted as he turned around bit by bit. Then, he suddenly cried out in surprise. His entire face revealed a horrified expression, as if he had seen a ghost. Because Yang Dingtian, who everyone thought was dead, actually sat up from the pit at this moment. Then, leaning on the Nightbird greatsword, he slowly stood up and walked out. Yang Dingtian raised his greatsword and pointed it at Qin Xiaobai. "You didn't kill me after 5 moves, so it should be considered your loss. But this is too unfair, so I'll give you the chance to make a 6th move." Qin Xiaobai's 5th move naturally didn't kill Yang Dingtian, because at that time, Yang Dingtian had already completely merged with the brutal sword spirit. With Qin Xiaobai's strength, he was already unable to harm him in the slightest. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's eyes were scarlet red, completely filled with blood, and filled with anger and sorrow. That's right, at this moment, he had already controlled the violent sword spirit in the Nightbird greatsword to fight. But the price was that he could no longer sense the existence of his master, Dongfang Minmi. Even though a large portion of this brutal sword spirit had been destroyed in the Battle of the Nightbird, the small portion that remained was still incomparably powerful and incomparably violent. Yang Dingtian would rather die than use the evil soul art, and he was also unwilling to use the evil soul tool ring, so he chose to control this brutal sword spirit to counterattack against the heavens. But only the sword spirit that he had refined step by step could be connected to his master's mind and fight side by side. Even Zhao Wuji couldn't control the violent sword spirit in this sword. Perhaps it was because Yang Dingtian's body had the brutal sword spirit and the Nightbird's energy aura, or perhaps it was because this violent sword spirit was suppressed by the Nightbird, but in short, Yang Dingtian actually succeeded in controlling this sword spirit by a large portion. Of course, it was only a large portion. At the final moment, this sword spirit violently counterattacked, instantly wanting to tear Yang Dingtian's soul to shreds. It was at this moment that Dongfang Minmi's soul appeared, suddenly suppressing the last bit of the violent sword spirit that rebelled. But after all, Dongfang Minmi was only a remnant soul. After suppressing the rebellious sword spirit, he couldn't sense his master, Dongfang Minmi. Immediately, Yang Dingtian tasted the taste of regret once again. If he hadn't been stubborn, if he had used the evil soul art, this wouldn't have been the result. But there was no such thing as if. At this moment, Yang Dingtian had already successfully blended in with this berserk sword soul. Endless fury and berserk rage were about to pour out. "I'll give you a chance for the 6th move, quickly!" Yang Dingtian suddenly roared, as if thunder had resounded from the horizon. The anger in his heart was about to explode his body. Qin Xiaobai's body shook, then he laughed sinisterly. "Is this the final radiance of the setting sun? Since you're not completely dead, then I'll completely tear you into pieces." With that, Qin Xiaobai wiped his palm on the bloody black gold sword, and a blood mist immediately sprayed out, staining the blade. The originally red sword now looked black and vermilion after being stained with blood. Boom! Immediately after, the bloody black gold sword, along with Qin Xiaobai's body, suddenly burned fiercely. The 6th move of the Primal Chaos Exterminating Sword, Primal Chaos Exterminating the Heavens. Suddenly, Qin Xiaobai's surroundings suddenly darkened, as if all the light had condensed on the sword. The entire bloody black gold sword and his body seemed to have merged into one, completely transforming into an 8-foot-long giant sword, a ferocious burning giant sword. Swoosh! Qin Xiaobai's man and sword became one, and a sword light of over 100 feet suddenly burst out. The purple sword light's brilliance shot out over 100 feet, as if it was going to pierce the entire sky. This was the last sword of the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword, and it was also the sword that made people tremble in fear. This sword almost instantly overdrew all of the swordsman's cultivation, causing the lethality to skyrocket by several times. Therefore, although the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword was only an 8th grade martial skill, it was also one of the most tyrannical martial skills. No one was willing to provoke an expert who used the primal chaos heaven destroyer sword, because once he went crazy and risked his life, even an opponent 2 or 3 times stronger than him could die under his sword. Now, Qin Shaobai actually overdrew all of the profound qi in his body and used the incomparably tyrannical 6th sword, Primal Chaos Heaven Destroyer Sword. Die, die, die! Qin Shaobai roared, and the incomparably huge sword light in his hand slashed down fiercely at Yang Dingtian's head. Die! Shimen Zhu, who was watching the battle on the city wall, suddenly punched out, and a bright red light shot out from his palm. Immediately, the sky above the plaza changed color, and the ground trembled. Everyone held their breaths, waiting to see Yang Dingtian being dismembered into 1,000 pieces, turned into ashes, and turned into ashes. Ah! Yang Dingtian roared furiously, grabbed the Night Owl greatsword in his hand, and suddenly slashed upwards. Roar! The sky darkened, as if a dragon and tiger were roaring, and also as if a devil was howling. Instantly, for some unknown reason, the flames on Qin Shaobai's body suddenly dimmed. Then, a ferocious and malevolent light suddenly rushed out from Yang Dingtian's Night Owl greatsword. Blood red, pitch black, pitch black. 2 lumps of light, like 2 prehistoric giant beasts, suddenly surged out and collided with Qin Shaobai's huge sword light. Boom! An incomparably violent explosion burst out with dazzling light, causing the 2 suns in the sky to lose their color. With Qin Shaobai and Yang Dingtian as the center of the plaza, countless boulders tumbled and shattered. The plaza of hundreds of meters was shattered, leaving behind a deep and huge crater. Puff! After the light and shadow destroyed Qin Shaobai's sword light, the remaining sword spirit's afterimage slammed into Qin Shaobai's body. Don't! Yang Yen screamed. Bang! Qin Shaobai's body, like a straw, was suddenly sent flying into the air, blood spurting wildly. Now, you can go to hell! Yang Dingtian roared and suddenly jumped into the air, the Night Owl greatsword in his hand surged with light, turning into a red sword light, aiming at Qin Shaobai who was floating in the air, and slashed down. Pig-slaying swordsmanship's first move, piercing the throat and letting out blood. Pig-slaying swordsmanship's second move, cutting open the stomach. Pig-slaying swordsmanship's fourth move, digging out the heart and lungs. One sword after another, one sword after another. Countless sword lights, blood-red sword lights, crazily slashed at Qin Shaobai in the air, and the sword did not stop. Qin Shaobai's body floated in the air, unable to fall. One sword after another, the sword lights crazily slashed on his body. With each sword strike, blood spurted wildly. With each sword strike, his body trembled violently, and the sound of bones breaking rang out. Kill, 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 kill. Note, second update. Brothers, I'm begging for 2 monthly votes for pastries. Please, everyone. Chapter 121. Kill, kill, kill. Everyone was stunned by this scene, and no one had time to react. Why was it like this? Qin Shaobai, who had the upper hand and beaten Yang Dingtian to the point that he couldn't fight back, was actually being slaughtered crazily in the air. His clothes were already torn, and his entire body was completely naked. His body was badly mutilated, and blood was gushing out crazily. He was 10 times more miserable than Yang Dingtian. At this moment, Qin Shaobai was hit by Yang Dingtian's brutal sword spirit. His tendons and meridians were all destroyed, and his body was almost destroyed. Of course, he didn't have the slightest ability to fight back, and allowed Yang Dingtian to slaughter him. Ah! Ah! At this moment, a mournful scream suddenly came from the high platform, and then a beautiful young woman rushed out. It was Yang Shishir, Qin Shaobai's biological mother. Previously, she had been hiding in the crowd and watching her son kill Yang Dingtian. Later on, when the situation suddenly changed and when Yang Dingtian was torturing Qin Xiaobai to death, her entire brain felt as though it had been struck by lightning as she instantly lost all her consciousness. She only woke up abruptly when her son was about to be killed. Bang! Qin Xiaobai's body fiercely smashed onto the ground like a pile of mud. He didn't move, and didn't make a sound. Yang Dingtian suddenly landed, and directly stepped on Qin Xiaobai's head, and said coldly, "You shameless beast, you were caught by Tang Xian doing something shameful. You killed Tang Xian and framed Yan Yan. You even created unbearable rumors about Madame Shimen and tarnished Madame's reputation. You deserve to die, you deserve to die." Then, he aimed at Qin Xiaobai's body and fiercely slashed. Under his sharp sword, Qin Xiaobai directly became a eunuch. "Don't!" Yang Shishir suddenly screamed. "Pig-slaying swordsmanship, chop off the limbs and chop off the head." Yang Dingtian raised his huge sword, and fiercely wanted to chop off Qin Xiaobai's head and limbs. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's eyes were still scarlet red, and his face was ice-cold and bloodthirsty, as if he was possessed by the devil. Don't. Have mercy, have mercy." Yang Shishir sobbed. "Yang Dingtian, listen to me. Just one sentence." Yang Dingtian coldly looked up at Yang Shishir and said, "Speak. I don't know if Xiaobai is dead or alive, but as long as you don't slash down, I won't care about what you've done to Xiaobai. The Northwest Qin family won't take revenge. Otherwise, even if we have to go to the ends of the earth, the Northwest Qin family will tear you to pieces," Yang Shishir said. "I will not be threatened." Yang Dingtian's giant sword slashed down. He couldn't sense Dongfang Minmi's presence. His rage soared to the heavens, and he only wanted to tear Qin Xiaobai to shreds. In order to kill Qin Xiaobai, he had no choice but to summon the brutal sword spirit of the Night Owl Greatsword to fight. In the end, in order to suppress the sword spirit's backlash, his master's divine sense was shattered. How could Yang Dingtian not be furious? Wait. I'll let the Northwest Qin family fully support you as Cloud Heaven City's lord, as long as you don't slash down." Yang Shishir cried out. She loved her son to the bone, or else she wouldn't have said such a condition. "I'll take what I want myself. I don't need others to give it to me," Yang Dingtian said generously. "Shimen Yan is innocent. I'll immediately return her to you." "I'll immediately return her to you," Yang Shishir said anxiously. "I won the duel, so Shimen Yan is innocent. Are you done? If you're done, I'll tear Qin Xiaobai to pieces." Yang Dingtian said coldly. After he finished speaking, he directly slashed at Qin Xiaobai's neck. "Silly child, wake up." Suddenly, Dongfang Minmi's weak voice sounded in his mind. Yang Dingtian's body shook and his eyes regained their clarity. He was overjoyed. Seeing that his sword was about to cut off Qin Xiaobai's head, he quickly turned his wrist. Paw! The huge sword fiercely slashed at the hard plaza, leaving a deep crack. "Master, are you all right?" Yang Dingtian was overjoyed. "I don't know, but I'll definitely be away from you for a while. Just now, I controlled that brutal sword spirit and caused my divine sense to completely shatter in your mind. I want to reform my scattered soul. If I can reform it, then I can accompany you for a while. If I can't, then I'll leave you forever." Dongfang Minmi said weakly, "So, when I'm not here, you can only rely on yourself." "Master, you'll definitely come back. I believe it." Yang Dingtian said loudly in his mind, "Also, no matter where I go, I'll find a way to revive you in another way. And Martial Uncle Shimen, I must find a way to bring him back to life. This is my mission, my greatest mission in this world." "Silly child, you're still so stubborn." Dongfang Minmi said, "Today, at the most dangerous moment, even if your soul was destroyed by the sword spirit, you didn't want to use the evil soul art. You didn't want to compromise like Duga Shao, that great devil. I'm very proud, I'm very gratified." Yang Dingtian said, but if I knew beforehand that the price would be you leaving me, then I might have already regretted it. Don't regret it, you did the right thing. Dongfang Minmi said, I'm going to leave immediately. When I'll wake up, I don't know if I can wake up. But in the end, I have 2 words to tell you. Listen carefully. Yes, master, I'll definitely do it. Yang Dingtian said. First, from today onwards, from now on, from this moment onwards, don't use the Night Owl huge sword. I know it's very powerful, very sharp, and once you successfully use the sword spirit inside, you can even kill experts 20 levels higher than you. But promise me, from today onwards, don't use this sword again. Otherwise, you won't be able to cultivate a real sword spirit for your entire life. Your cultivation will also stop here. A real sword spirit should be 1,000 or 10,000 times stronger than this. Sell this sword, throw it into the lava, in short, don't use it again. Don't even touch it, even if you don't have a sword to use because of this. Dongfang Minmi said solemnly. Yes, master, from now onwards, I won't use this sword spirit again. I won't touch it again. Yang Dingtian said. Swear. Dongfang Minmi said. I swear, I won't use the sword spirit inside this sword again. Yang Dingtian said. That's right. If you use it again, it will really destroy your perfect sword spirit cultivation path. After this matter, immediately go to the southwest continent to find the fire immunity chilling pearl, then go to the fire cloud devil cave to find the highest quality earth fire to refine your fledgling sword. Start refining the soul sword that truly belongs to you. This is the most important thing for you. Dongfang Minmi said. His voice was getting softer and softer, weaker and weaker. Yes, master, after this matter, I'll immediately go to the southwest continent to find the fire immunity chilling pearl. Yang Dingtian said, you should quickly rest and quickly condense the broken soul. Then goodbye, child. When I'm not here, you'll have to rely on yourself. As for Qin Xiaobai. Dongfang Minmi's voice got softer and softer until it was completely inaudible. It completely disappeared in Yang Dingtian's mind. He didn't even finish his words about Qin Xiaobai. Yang Dingtian's heart was filled with reluctance and sorrow, but he firmly believed that his master would definitely come back. His master's voice would definitely resound in his mind again. At this moment, Yang Dingtian's rage and fury gradually calmed down because of Dongfang Minmi's words. At this moment, everyone's eyes were fixed on Yang Dingtian, waiting to see if he would cut down the sword. He was the victor of the trial by duel, so he had the right to cut off the head of the loser. Taking a deep breath, he looked at Yang Dingtian. Yang Dingtian said, Madam Qin, I cannot cut down this sword. I can even return Qin Xiaobai to you, but you have to promise me one thing. Say it, say it. No matter what it is, I'll agree. Yang Shishir said, even if you want me to jump down from here. Instantly, everyone looked at Yang Dingtian, not knowing what he was going to say. Yang Yen and the others were filled with wariness and hostility. Yang Dingtian, my condition is very simple. Return Shimin Yanyan's and Madame Shimin's innocence. At this moment, Yanyan had just woken up. When he heard Yang Dingtian's words, tears welled up in his eyes, and he felt as if the softest part of his heart had been struck. Let me ask you, did Shimin Yanyan kill Tang Xan? Yang Dingtian asked. No, Tang Xan wasn't killed by Yanyan, Yang Shishir replied. Yang Dingtian, then, who killed Tang Xan? Yes, yes. A trace of determination flashed through Yang Shishir's beautiful eyes. I killed Yang Shishir. She saw something she shouldn't have seen, so after I killed her, I framed Shimin Yanyan. Instantly, everyone was in an uproar. Yang Dingtian was stunned. Tang Xan was clearly killed by Qin Xiaobai, but Yang Shishir said she killed her. Was this love as deep as the sea? Then, Yang Dingtian, then who spread the rumors about Madame Shimin? Yang Shishir, it was also me. In order to destroy your morale and let Xiaobai become the lord of Cloud Sky City, I tried my best to smear your innocence. Instantly, everyone let out a cry of surprise and looked at Yang Shishir in disbelief. Yang Yan and the others' faces were ashen, and they were so angry that their bodies were trembling. No matter what, they never thought that it would end like this. All of them thought that there was only one result, which was that Qin Xiaobai killed Yang Dingtian instantly, Madame Shimin would be burdened with a lifetime of scandals, and Shimin Lai and the others would be expelled from Cloud Sky City. The Yang family used Qin Xiaobai to completely control Cloud Sky City. They guessed the first half of it right, but they didn't expect the situation to change so drastically. Not only did Yang Dingtian not die, but he suddenly displayed his invincible might and directly killed Qin Xiaobai. And in order to save Qin Xiaobai's life, Yang Shishir actually admitted to all the crimes. This way, Qin Xiaobai's reputation would be completely notorious. And Yang Dingtian and Madame Shimin would also be restored to their innocence. Yan Yan would also be completely innocent. This ending was even better than the best situation that Yang Dingtian had imagined. Yang Dingtian turned around and shouted at the high platform, "Great Elder Yang Yan, you should have heard it. Tang Xian was not killed by Shimin Yan Yan. Shimin Yan Yan is not guilty. Let her go." Yang Yan's expression suddenly changed, and the muscles on his face trembled. With a wave of his hand, Shimin Yan unwillingly put down the blade from Yan Yan's neck. Shimin Ju stepped forward and lightly waved his hand, taking away the red crystal and releasing Yan Yan's mystic chi restriction. After Yan Yan recovered her mystic chi, she directly jumped down from the city wall. After landing, she quickly rushed towards Yang Dingtian. Under the gazes of tens of thousands of people, she rushed into Yang Dingtian's embrace like a ball of flame. "Hubby, these past few days, I've been thinking about you all the time. I've been thinking about your voice, your embrace, and your bad hands," Yan Yan said softly while crying. Yang Dingtian hugged Yan Yan tightly, greedily smelling her scent. "Stop smelling it. These past few days, I've only bathed once," Yan Yan said tenderly. "I like this smell." Yang Dingtian smiled, then patted her back and said, "Go back to Big Brother Shimin Lai first. Mother-in-law's situation isn't too good, and Sister Ningning seems to be unconscious. Go take care of them." "All right," Yan Yan said softly and reluctantly left Yang Dingtian's embrace. Her beautiful eyes blossomed with boundless tenderness as she said, "Hubby, tonight, I'll tell you everything that happened 5 years ago. After that, Yan Yan will completely bid farewell to the past and become a weak little woman. I'll become a little wife who will only do your laundry and cook for you. All right?" "All right," Yang Dingtian said softly. During the entire process, the tens of thousands of people in the plaza were silent as they watched Yang Dingtian and Shimin Yan Yan put on a loving show. Some people's eyes were filled with blessings, some were filled with envy, and some were filled with jealousy. Shimin Yan Yan, a pair of peerless geniuses, the #1 beauty in the Northwest, and the princess of Cloud Heaven City. To be able to obtain her body and mind was the dream of every man. Turning back 3 times with every step, Yan Yan left Yang Dingtian's embrace and came to Madame Shimin's side. "Madame Qin, please come and carry your son away," Yang Dingtian said. Yang Shishir directly jumped down from the city wall and ran to Yang Dingtian. Her graceful and moving body bowed first as she said, then, she squatted down and trembled as she carried the badly mutilated Qin Xiaobai. "Xiaobai, Xiaobai." Yang Shishir directly buried her charming face into her son's blood-stained chest and cried out in pain. Even though Qin Xiaobai deserved it, Yang Dingtian still didn't know how to face this scene. He nodded at Yang Shishir and turned to walk towards the Black Blood Cavalry's formation. "Long live City Lord Yang Dingtian, long live City Lord Yang Dingtian." Suddenly, the Black Blood Cavalry brothers in the camp shouted out. At the start, it was only a few hundred people shouting, but it was quickly followed by a few thousand people shouting together. Obviously, Yang Dingtian's great victory boosted their morale. They actually shouted, "City Lord Yang Dingtian," in advance. After the Black Blood Cavalry finished shouting, the other warriors of Cloud Sky City actually followed suit. Instantly, the entire square was filled with cheers. Qin Xiaobai created rumors to destroy Yang Dingtian's reputation. Many of the Cloud Sky City disciples didn't believe it. They firmly believed that Yang Dingtian relied on his own talent to increase his cultivation by leaps and bounds. They were incomparably looking forward to Yang Dingtian once again displaying his invincible prowess and slapping the rumor monger in the face. Now, Yang Dingtian did it. Not only did he once again prove his talent and strength, he also slapped Yang Yan and the others hard in the face. He completely destroyed the Northwest Qin families and Yang Yan's conspiracy to overthrow Cloud Sky City. Yang Dingtian didn't disappoint his supporters and didn't betray their trust. When Yang Yan and the others saw this scene from the top of the city wall, their expressions changed drastically. For this duel, he had gathered almost all the Cloud Sky City disciples and all the important figures of Cloud Sky City's forces. It was to let everyone see Qin Xiaobai display his invincible prowess. It was to let everyone see Yang Dingtian's defeat and death. It was to let those who supported Yang Dingtian lose all hope and give up hope. However, they never thought that this move would once again benefit Yang Dingtian. Of course, they never thought that Qin Xiaobai would lose this duel. No matter how they looked at it, Qin Xiaobai wouldn't lose. Yang Dingtian would definitely die. Who knew that Qin Xiaobai would lose? Next, they would have to face the thunderous wrath of the Northwest Qin family's lord. The Northwest Qin family's third young master, the genius of the Northwest continent, had actually been destroyed in Cloud Sky City by Yang Dingtian's hands. This meant that he was indirectly destroyed by Yang Yan and the others. Yang Yan had the intention to stop all of this, but he couldn't do anything at this moment. He couldn't possibly turn hostile in front of everyone and kill Yang Dingtian in anger, right? Suddenly, Yang Yan couldn't help but look at Shiminju. This was an instinct because Shiminju was the most scheming person in Cloud Sky City. Shiminju looked at the cheering crowd. Over 10,000 people were shouting "Long live Yang Dingtian," and his face instantly turned gloomy. Under everyone's gazes, Yang Dingtian walked back to the Black Blood Cavalry's camp step by step. Shiminju's eyes flashed as he looked at Yang Dingtian's back view and coldly shouted, "Wait." Note. Chapter 122. Yang Dingtian was startled and stood still. With his back facing Shiminju, he said coldly, "Why? Is Steward Shimin going back on his words and denying the trial by duel?" "Of course not." Shiminju said coldly, "A loss is a loss, and a win is a win. The trial by duel is sacred, and no one has the right to destroy it. Therefore, when you wanted to kill Qin Xiaobai earlier, none of us stopped you." Yang Dingtian asked, "Then why did you call me?" Shiminju looked at Yang Shishir and said loudly, "Yang Shishir is suspected of murder. Arrest her immediately and choose a date for the trial." When he said this, everyone's expression changed, including Great Elder Yang Yan. Yang Shishir was his daughter. Shiminju looked at Yang Yan with a determined gaze and didn't say anything. Based on his trust in Shiminju, Great Elder Yang Yan nodded. Immediately, 4 judgment warriors jumped down from the city wall and went forward to capture Yang Shishir. Meanwhile, Yang Shishir was immersed in grief. After being captured, she was only slightly startled. She then continued to hug Qin Xiaobai in pain, allowing the 4 of them to take her and Qin Xiaobai away. Everyone immediately revealed looks of admiration. Yang Yan and Shiminju were truly selfless. "Yang Dingtian, you can't leave like this. At least, you have to wait for Great Elder Yang Yan to announce the result," Shiminju said. He then said to Yang Yan, "Great Elder, please announce the result." Yang Yan's expression changed. He couldn't help but suspect what Shiminju meant. Could it be that he saw that the situation wasn't good and decided to switch sides in front of everyone? However, under everyone's gaze, the situation was pressing. He didn't have any leeway to turn around. Yang Yan took a deep breath and said loudly, "I announce that in this trial by duel, Yang Dingtian is the winner. Shimin Yan is not guilty." Instantly, the plaza erupted into cheers. Yang Yan and the others' expressions became even more unsightly. Shimanju said, Yang Dingtian, do you think it's fair to deal with it like this? Sure. Yang Dingtian frowned. However, he instinctively felt that this matter wouldn't end so easily. It's good that it's fair. Shimanju said coldly, the trial by duel is sacred. No one can taint it. We have to be fair to you, but at the same time, we have to be fair to the other party. Next, I'll ask you a few questions. Please answer truthfully. As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place fell silent. Everyone could see that things were not over yet. Next, there would be another great wave. Yang Dingtian turned to Shimanju and said, please speak. I will only answer what I can. Let me ask you, what stage is your profound qi cultivation at now? Shimanju asked coldly. Yang Dingtian's heart went cold. This Shimanju's eyes were indeed sinister. He found the most crucial point in an instant. 3-star Xian warrior, Yang Dingtian said. Shimanju exclaimed in admiration, in just 9 days, he advanced from a 9-star mystic martial artist to a 3-star mystic martial warrior. Such talent and such progress is unheard of and unseen. Hearing Yang Dingtian's praise, Yang Dingtian's frown deepened. Of course, I won't ask you where you went during these 9 days. What did you rely on to break through? This is your privacy. You have the right to not answer. Shimanju went straight to the point and blocked Yang Dingtian's words. Immediately after, Shimanju asked again, I'll only ask you this. Under normal circumstances, would a 3-star mystic martial warrior be able to defeat a 4-star mystic martial master? A 4-star mystic martial master is 11 levels higher than you. His cultivation is several times higher than yours. Furthermore, it is a battle that transcends levels. Under normal circumstances, I'm talking about under normal circumstances. Is there a possibility? Under normal circumstances, it is impossible. But without a doubt, I am special. Yang Dingtian said. That's right. You are abnormal. Shimanju said. I'm talking about special, not abnormal. Yang Dingtian said coldly. Alright, I'll take it that you are special. Shimanju said coldly, then 200 years ago, there was a special case, a special duel. Everyone should still have an impression of it. It was almost the same as today's situation. Once these words were spoken, everyone's expression changed drastically. That's right. It was a very famous event. It was also an event that had the most far-reaching influence. It changed the fate of countless people. This duel destroyed a powerful sect, the Wooden Sword Stronghold, as well as the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. The duel was between the Wooden Sword Castle's young master, Li Tianxiao. The other was the Northwest Qin clan's third young master, Qin Yi. The third party involved was our Cloud Heaven City's 9th-generation city lord's daughter, Yang Tingting. Shimanju said, back then, Miss Yang Tingting was an outstanding beauty and was known as the Northwest's #1 beauty. Back then, the Northwest Qin clan wasn't as powerful as it is now. Back then, the Wooden Sword Castle hadn't declined and was ranked as one of the 3 sects and 9 clans. Hearing the name Li Tianxiao, Yang Dingtian had obviously heard of it before. Even the entire world had heard of it. This was the most notorious name in the past 200 years, and it was also the name with the most heinous crimes. He was the biggest traitor of the Heavenly Law Union in the past few hundred years, and the number of people who died at his hands numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Du Gushao had even mentioned this name not long ago. The previous owner of the soul tool ring that he gave to Yang Dingtian was Li Tianxiao. Shimanju continued, back then, Li Tianxiao and Qin Yi adored Miss Yang Tingting. Li Tianxiao was outstanding and handsome while the Qin clan's third young master had astonishing talent and martial arts. Both of them had deep feelings for her, which made Miss Yang Tingting unable to make a choice. Therefore, Miss Yang Tingting decided to travel thousands of miles with the two of them and venture to the far west to cultivate. She hoped that she could make the right choice during the journey. However, half a year later, only Li Tianxiao and the Qin clan's third young master returned. They also brought back Yang Tingting's corpse, which had been humiliated and in a terrible state. Even though almost everyone present had heard of this story before, when they heard it again, they couldn't help but gasp. A beauty that was as beautiful as a fairy, had a noble status, and was pure as ice and jade. She had two infatuated and outstanding men who were crazy for her. She was supposed to be the happiest woman, but unexpectedly, she had such a tragic ending. Back then, Li Tianxiao and Qin Yi's third young master both accused each other of torturing and killing Miss Yang Tingting, but they couldn't produce any evidence. Back then, Wooden Sword Castle, Cloud Heaven City, and the Northwest Qin clan investigated for 3 months, but there were still no results. Therefore, both parties agreed to a trial by duel. Whoever lost would die and whoever lost would be guilty. Of course, this trial by duel required the agreement of the 3 parties: Wooden Sword Castle's young master Li Tianxiao, Qin clan's third young master, and Cloud Heaven City's agreement. As everyone knows, Wooden Sword Castle's young master Li Tianxiao was outstanding and talented. However, he was far from the Qin clan's third young master in terms of martial arts. Back then, Li Tianxiao was only a 4-star great mystic martial master, while Qin Yi was a 5-star martial mystic expert. The two of them were 11 levels apart, and they were fighting across levels. After Shimin Ju finished speaking, he looked at Yang Dingtian and smiled. What a coincidence! They were 11 levels apart as well, and they were also fighting across levels. Shimin Ju's words were full of ulterior motives, but Yang Dingtian didn't care. Shimin Ju continued, everyone thought that Wooden Sword Castle's Li Tianxiao wouldn't agree to this trial by duel, but unexpectedly, he agreed. It was also on the trial day of every month, and the sun was also in the sky. The trial by duel between the two of them was held in Cloud Heaven City. That's right, what a coincidence. It was also at the place where Yang Dingtian and Qin Xiaobai had their duel. What's even more coincidental was that the duel also happened on the 23rd day of the 10th month. The time and location were exactly the same. It was just that it was 200 years ago at this time and 200 years ago at this place. These words had even more ulterior motives. Similarly, it was an extremely shocking and unexpected result. Wooden Sword Castle's young master Li Tianxiao was retreating step by step, and when he was about to lose his life, he suddenly counterattacked. His strength increased drastically, and he instantly killed young master Qin Yi. Shimin Ju continued, everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. However, there was no doubt that the trial by duel was sacred, and no one dared to question it. Therefore, even though they had doubts in their hearts, everyone accepted this result. Cloud Heaven City Lord announced that Wooden Sword Castle's young master Li Tianxiao was the victor and was not guilty. Qin clan's third young master Qin Yi was defeated and died, and he was guilty. The Northwest Qin clan was unwilling, but in view of the sacred trial by duel, they also accepted this result. Yang Dingtian had never heard of this story, but he already knew what Shimin Ju was going to say next. Shimin Ju continued, if nothing happened later on, then all the truth would have been buried. Until one day, the Temple of Annihilation's master, the world's #1 expert, and the supreme of the evil ways, Wan Wentian, unified the evil ways and led millions of evil armies out of the Sea of Hell. They launched an apocalyptic war against the primal chaos world and destroyed countless places in a short period of time. That was an unbearable history, and it was also the bloody history of our world's famous sections. Shimin Ju said in a mournful voice, but what I want to talk about is Wooden Sword Castle, one of the 9 sects in the world. They dominated the southwest continent and were the overlord of thousands of miles. They were also the core strength of the Tiando League. However, when the Tiando League's alliance army and the evil ways were fighting to the death in the northwest continent, all the experts of Wooden Sword Castle died mysteriously overnight. Hundreds of thousands of the Tiando League's southwest army were infected with a plague overnight. No one knew why until a person appeared in the Evil Ways' alliance army and appeared beside the Temple of 10,000 Blood's master, De Baiming. That person was Wooden Sword Castle's young master, Li Tianxiao. He was the one who killed all the experts of Wooden Sword Castle, and he was also the one who caused hundreds of thousands of the Tiando League's Southwest Army to die of a plague. Because he was a spy placed in the Tiando League by the Temple of 10,000 Bloods Temple. Then, the truth about the trial by duel was revealed. The truth about Yang Tingting's murder was also revealed. Although it had been more than 10 years since the trial by duel, and the bones of the Qin clan's third young master had long been turned into ashes, the truth was the truth, and it would remain in this world forever. Shimin Ju looked at Yang Dingtian and said, the truth was that when Li Tianxiao, Qin Yi, and Yang Tingting were traveling in the far west continent, Yang Tingting finally made a choice. She chose Qin Yi. In his anger, Li Tianxiao humiliated and killed Yang Tingting before framing Qin Yi. The reason why he agreed to the trial by duel was very simple. It was because the Temple of 10,000 Bloods master, De Gabaiming, had imparted an evil art to Li Tianxiao. It was an extremely evil art. This evil art was called the Evil Soul Art. Hearing this name, Yang Dingtian's body shook. The Evil Soul Art used an evil and vicious method to absorb and refine the martial artist's soul before storing it in the soul artifact. During a battle, as long as the soul burst art was used, the puppet battle soul in the soul artifact could be released to kill the opponent instantly, even if the opponent was several times stronger. At that time, Li Tianxiao used poison to restrain his own uncle before extracting his soul and refining it into a puppet battle soul. Then, during the duel with Qin Yi, he lost every move and was surrounded by danger. Just when Li Tianxiao was about to lose his life, he released this evil battle soul from the soul artifact and instantly killed young Master Qin Yi, obtaining the victory of the duel. From that moment onwards, Li Tianxiao's soul was completely polluted and became a lackey of evil ways. Finally, after more than 10 years, he committed a heinous crime and destroyed the entire wooden sword castle. He killed hundreds of thousands of righteous and innocent lives, causing the entire southwest continent to lose its vitality and become a desolate land. Shimin Ju sneered and said, and the most ridiculous thing was that he was the one who told the truth. Shimin Ju took a deep breath as if he was calming down his grief and anger. He then continued, after the world-ending war, the Wooden Sword Castle, Northwest Qin Clan, and Cloud Heaven City made a ruling that in the trial by duel more than 10 years ago, Li Tianxiao had used evil arts to win and the results were invalid. They judged that young Master Qin Yi was the winner and declared that Qin Yi was innocent. Even though young Master Qin Yi had been dead for more than 10 years, his grievances were finally cleared. Perhaps, he could rest in peace. From that moment onwards, the Tiando League ordered that anyone who used evil arts to cheat in the trial by duel would immediately lose and be dismembered into thousands of pieces. Evil ways and good cannot coexist. Our Tiando League has zero tolerance for evil ways and will kill on sight. Those who become lackeys of evil ways will be punished even more. Finally, Shimin Ju looked at Yang Dingtian and said, Yang Dingtian, I don't want to suspect you, but the situation today is too similar to what happened 200 years ago. I cannot imagine how you could win when you were 11 stages apart. Hence, I officially suspect that you are in cahoots with evil ways. You used the evil soul art to cheat and defeat Qin Xiaobai. We have to capture you immediately and investigate thoroughly. Hence, you cannot leave for now. At this moment, Yang Dingtian wanted to laugh, but he couldn't. He wanted to curse, but he couldn't make a sound. Even at the last moment, even if he was going to die under Qin Xiaobai's sword, even if his soul was going to be destroyed by the Berserk Sword Soul, he didn't use the evil soul art. Instead, he chose an extremely dangerous path with disastrous consequences. This path was successful. He defeated Qin Xiaobai, but his master, Dongfang Minmi's soul, suffered devastating damage. He had no choice but to leave Yang Dingtian and might never return. Furthermore, it might have a huge impact on his perfect sword soul in the future. Such a painful price was because Yang Dingtian wasn't willing to use the evil soul art. But now, Shimin Ju wanted to frame the crime of cheating and colluding with evil ways on Yang Dingtian. How could Yang Dingtian not be angry and laugh? Yang Dingtian laughed and said, Steward Shimin, how do you plan to investigate? Shimin Ju said, It's very simple. Please tell me. You are 11 levels lower than Qin Xiaobai. You were defeated at the beginning. How did you manage to make a comeback and turn defeat into victory? Yang Dingtian instantly became silent. Shimin Ju smiled and said, "Of course. Is there anything inconvenient to say?" Yang Dingtian said, "There's nothing that can't be told. The reason why I was able to turn defeat into victory was because of the Sword Soul. I used the Sword Soul to fight." Once these words were spoken, everyone present was shocked again. They let out sounds of disbelief. Of course, most of them were still shocked by Yang Dingtian. Therefore, they didn't turn it into doubts for now. But this was too crazy. It was enough to overturn everyone's understanding. There were only 3 people in the world who had cultivated the Sword Soul. Dongfang Minmi, Shimin Wuya, and the last one was a peerless expert who had secluded himself from the world. He was the true number 1 expert in the world, the hidden sect's patriarch. These 3 people were all Grandmaster level experts. Yang Dingtian was only a 3-star mystic martial warrior. Moreover, Qin Xiaobai was defeated too quickly. No one saw it clearly before Qin Xiaobai was sent flying while vomiting blood. They didn't know how Yang Dingtian defeated him. Shimin Ju didn't have any ridicule on his face. Instead, he said seriously, "That's really inconceivable. If I didn't remember wrongly, there are only 3 people in the world who can use the Sword Soul to fight. The 3 of them are all Grandmaster level experts. Of course, I don't have any intention of looking down on you. But you are only a 3-star mystic martial warrior. It's too hard to believe that you can use the Sword Soul to fight." Grand Elder Yang Yen sneered and said, "Yang Dingtian, the evil soul and the Sword Soul are only 1 word apart. Don't get it wrong. The evil soul is an evil thing of evil ways. The Sword Soul is the righteous path of martial arts. It's the symbol of a peerless expert. It's too early for you to wear this symbol now." Once these words were said, the tens of thousands of people present revealed a doubtful expression. Shimin Ju easily destroyed the worship that everyone had for Yang Dingtian. After all, Yang Dingtian used the Sword Soul to fight. This was too inconceivable. It was completely impossible. In everyone's heart, the Sword Soul was the pinnacle of martial arts. With Yang Dingtian's cultivation, he was indeed not qualified at this age. "Yang Dingtian, don't you have any explanation for this? After all, at your age and level, it's too inconceivable for you to be able to control the Sword Soul to fight." Shimin Ju said sincerely. Yang Dingtian shook his head and said, "I don't have any explanation. You told me how I defeated Qin Xiaobai. I already told you that I used the Sword Soul. As for how I used it, I don't have the obligation to explain. Because this sword was given by Horror Mountain Village, once Yang Dingtian revealed its origin, it would bring a calamity to Xiaomu." Shimin Ju frowned and sighed. "All right, it's fine if you don't say it. You said that you used the Sword Soul to defeat Qin Xiaobai. Even though it's very unbelievable, I will take it as believing you. Then, you have to prove to everyone that you used the Sword Soul and not the evil soul art." Yang Dingtian's facial muscles twitched slightly. "How do I prove it?" "Very simple." Shimin Ju said, "Demonstrate it one more time. Use the Sword Soul to launch an attack on me. If you really used the Sword Soul, then you, Yang Dingtian, have created 1,000 years of history. Then, I will apologize to you in front of everyone and support you to become the successor of Cloud Heaven City Lord. How about it?" Yang Dingtian didn't reply. Shimin Ju's expression turned cold as he continued, "If you can't use the Sword Soul to attack me, then I'm very sorry. We can only suspect that you used the evil soul art. We can only suspect that you are an infiltrator of evil ways. According to the orders of the Tiando League, we will punish those who cheat and those who infiltrate evil ways. We will kill them on the spot and dismember them into pieces. Note, brothers, I beg for monthly votes." Chapter 123. Everyone present also felt that Shimanju's condition wasn't excessive at all and was very fair. Only Yang Dingtian knew the ulterior motives behind Shimanju's suggestion. Even though Yang Dingtian had already successfully controlled the Berserk Sword Soul to battle once, his master's soul was almost destroyed. However, his master Dongfang Nimi's soul was almost destroyed. Yang Dingtian had no confidence at all if he were to do it again. He would definitely die. Furthermore, Yang Dingtian had promised his master that he wouldn't touch this sword soul again. More importantly, if Yang Dingtian were to make contact with that violent sword soul again, even if he were to succeed, the price he had to pay would be his master's divine sense being annihilated while his own body would be shattered. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath and said, "Sorry, I can't." Shimanju frowned and asked, "Why?" Yang Dingtian replied, "Because I have decided that I won't use this sword soul a second time." Shimanju frowned even more and said, "Oh, that's too much of a coincidence." At this moment, the tens of thousands of people present couldn't help but have doubts on their faces. Their worship for Yang Dingtian turned into suspicion. Immediately after, Shimanju said, "Since you aren't willing to demonstrate using the sword soul to battle, then we can only use another method. As everyone knows, those who use the evil soul art to battle will definitely have a soul tool on them. To prove your innocence, please accept a body search in front of everyone. If we find the soul tool, then it will prove that you used evil arts to cheat. If we don't find the soul tool, then it will prove your innocence. This way, it should be fine, right?" Shimanju's tone had helplessness and gentleness, making everyone feel that he was really reasonable. Instantly, everyone looked at Yang Dingtian, hoping that he would agree. Yang Dingtian naturally wasn't afraid of a body search because that soul tool ring was inside his spatial ring. Even if an immortal came, they wouldn't be able to find it. However, when it came to people like Shimanju, one had to have the most malicious conjecture. Perhaps he had an evil soul tool on him. At that time, Yang Dingtian wouldn't be able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Yellow River. At that time, he would be accused of being a spy for evil ways, and he wouldn't be able to die even if he wanted to. Furthermore, Madame Shiman, Yen Yen, and the others would all be implicated. "Sorry, I refuse to be searched," Yang Dingtian said slowly. Shimanju's voice instantly turned cold. "Oh? Why?" Yang Dingtian said word by word, "Because I don't trust you, and a body search is an insult to me." As soon as these words came out, the crowd was in an uproar. They looked at Yang Dingtian with eyes full of suspicion. The previous goodwill was gone. Some people even regarded Yang Dingtian as a lurker of evil ways. Yang Dingtian. Shimanju's voice turned completely ice-cold as he said, "This won't do, that won't do. Are you forcing us to use our last resort?" "What kind of resort?" Yang Dingtian asked coldly. Shimanju said coldly, "Good and evil cannot coexist. Cheating in the trial by duel is a small matter, but for the sake of Cloud Heaven City's hundreds of years of foundation. If you don't agree to these two conditions, then I can only use force to make you stay." Immediately after, Shimanju floated from the city wall to Yang Dingtian. He slowly raised his hand from his sleeve and said coldly, "I will give you one last time to consider. Either you demonstrate how to control the sword soul to fight, or you agree to the body search. Otherwise, don't blame me for being merciless. For the sake of Cloud Heaven City's foundation, for the sake of the tens of thousands of lives here, I have no choice but to be merciless." After finishing, Shimanju began to count down coldly. 5, 4, 3. Yang Dingtian suddenly said coldly, "You don't have to count down anymore. If you want to make a move, then do it." After finishing his sentence, Yang Dingtian slowly raised the Night Owl Greatsword with both hands. Even though he was already riddled with scars and his mystic meridians were like a river after the ebbing tide, already damaged and powerless, Yang Dingtian still didn't dare to make a move. Shimanju stretched out his hand from his sleeve and said, "You forced me to do this." After finishing his sentence, Shimanju was about to send out a palm strike. "Wait!" Suddenly, Shimenlai shouted and slowly walked out from the crowd. Second brother, now is not the time for you and Yang Dingtian to make a move. The battle between the two of you should be held 1 year and 5 months later. If you want to fight, then fight with me today. After all, you have been waiting for this day for a long time. Not only you, but everyone in Cloud Heaven City wants to know who is foster father's strongest foster son. After finishing his sentence, Shimenlai walked to Yang Dingtian's side and drew out his enormous sword. Shimenju coldly said, "Boss, now is not the time to be emotional. If you and I want to compete, there will be plenty of opportunities. Furthermore, everyone knows that you are foster father's #1 foster son. Now is the time to prove Yang Dingtian's innocence and even decide the life and death of Cloud Heaven City in the future. Don't be reckless. Don't be an alarmist." Shimenlai coldly said, "I believe in Yang Dingtian's innocence, so if you want to keep Yang Dingtian here today, you want to defeat me." Shimenlai coldly said, "Then what if Yang Dingtian is a spy from the evil ways? Who will bear this huge responsibility?" "I will bear it." Shimenlai roared. "What will you use to bear it?" Shimenju asked. "I will use my life. If Yang Dingtian is using the evil soul art, if Yang Dingtian is a spy from the evil ways, I will commit suicide." Shimenlai roared. "You don't have the qualifications. Your life isn't worth that much." Shimenju coldly said, "This involves thousands of lives. This involves Cloud Heaven City's hundreds of years of foundation. Your life alone won't be enough to pay for it." Shimenlai sighed and said, "Second brother, I can't beat you when it comes to scheming. I can't beat you when it comes to talking. However, I know what you are thinking. Don't you want to kill Yang Dingtian and become Cloud Heaven City's lord? I like to speak with my sword. I still say the same thing. If you want to keep Yang Dingtian, you will have to step over my dead body. Boss, think carefully. You are making the entire Cloud Heaven City your enemy. You are making the entire Tiando League your enemy. Do you want to commit suicide in Cloud Heaven City?" Shimenju said. Then, he turned to Yang Yen and said, "Great Elder, you are now the highest leader of Cloud Heaven City. Please say something." Yang Yen slowly said, "Shimenlai, as the Grand Elder of Cloud Heaven City, I'm warning you. If you forcefully obstruct Shimenju's investigation, you will be harming the highest interest of Cloud Heaven City. I will expel you from the Elder Guild and from Cloud Heaven City. You want to make a move? Sure, but once you make a move, you will no longer be a citizen of Cloud Heaven City. You will never be able to step into Cloud Heaven City again. Think carefully." Shimenlai sneered and said, "Great Elder, you alone don't have the authority to expel me. Even if I can't, the Elder Council can." Yang Yen sneered and said, "Now, the Elder Council will vote. If Shimenju makes a move to stop Shimenju's investigation of the evil ways spy, then immediately expel Shimenlai from Cloud Heaven City. Those who agree agree, I agree. I agree." Tang Buizhao said. "I agree." Shimenju said. "I agree." Elder Yen Billy said. "I agree." Elder Mu Huali said. "I abstain," Shimen Nu from the Abyss Castle said angrily. This was the first time Yang Dingtian saw him. He was wearing a majestic white armor, handsome and arrogant. "I disagree." The weak Madam Shimen said. Cloud Heaven City had a total of 9 elders. At this moment, 7 elders were voting. Elder Mu Yi was in the Hidden Art Pavilion and didn't care about any trivial matters in Cloud Heaven City. Because Shimenju was involved, he didn't have the authority to vote. And Shimen Ningning was only an honorary Elder Council member, so she didn't have the authority to vote. 5 people agree, 1 disagrees, and 1 abstains. This decision is passed. Yang Yen said coldly, "So, Shimenlai, think carefully. If you stop Shimenju from investigating the evil ways spy, you will be expelled from Cloud Heaven City." "Oh." Shimenlai laughed heartily and said, "I don't want to stay in such a Cloud Heaven City." Then, Shimenlai said to Yang Dingtian, whether or not I can return to Cloud Heaven City in the future will depend on you. You must win the great battle 1.5 years later, because once you are expelled from Cloud Heaven City by the Elder Council, only the Cloud Heaven City Lord has the authority to summon you back. After saying that, Shimenlai waved his giant sword and said to Shimenju, make your move, second brother. Shimenlai, your opponent is me. Yang Yen suddenly sneered and floated down the city wall. He slowly raised his cane and said to Shimenju, finish this battle quickly and eliminate Yang Dingtian, this possible traitor of evil ways. Leave Shimenlai to me. Yes. Shimenju said to Yang Dingtian, you are courting death today. Don't blame me for being merciless. You make your move first. Shimenju, your opponent is me. Suddenly, Madame Shimen leaped up from her seat and floated towards Yang Dingtian like a fairy. Madame Shimen floated to Yang Dingtian's side and pulled out her sharp sword. She said to Shimenju, you ungrateful bastard. Make your move. Madame Shimen, your opponent is me. Tang Buizhao laughed and floated down from the city wall. Instantly, Shimenju faced off against Yang Dingtian again. It was obvious that they could see the threat of Yang Dingtian, so they had to eliminate Yang Dingtian before he sprouted. On Yang Dingtian's side, there were no more experts left. Shimenju's face instantly revealed a cruel smile. Shimenju, your opponent is still me. Yan leaped up and landed beside Yang Dingtian. She pulled out her sharp sword and gently said to Yang Dingtian, husband, let us fight side by side. Shimenlai knew that even if Yang Dingtian and Shimen Yan worked together, they would still be far from being Shimenju's opponent. Although he kept saying that he wanted to have a showdown with Shimenju, he knew that Shimenju was stronger than him. Instantly, Shimenlai shouted towards the crowd, Shimenju, are you going to watch with folded arms? Shimenju was an expert in Cloud Heaven City that was second only to Shimenju and Shimenlai. He was also Shimenwuya's most outstanding foster son. Hearing Shimenlai's shout, Shimenju didn't respond. Shimenlai angrily said, Shimenju, foster father's kindness to us is as heavy as a mountain. Are you going to watch this group of bastards bully foster father's wife and daughter? After a moment of silence, Shimenju slowly said, Boss, I forfeit. Good, very good. Foster father has truly raised a group of heartless and unscrupulous people. Shimenlai was so angry that he laughed instead. He shouted towards Yang Yen, shameless old man, come. Today, I will teach you a lesson on behalf of foster father. Today, everyone will fight to the death. Yang Dingtian, get ready. Today, everyone will die here together. Shimenlai and Yang Yen were fighting. Madame Shimen was fighting against Tang Buizhao. Yang Dingtian and Yan were fighting against Shimenju. A great battle was about to erupt. Shimenlai let out a wild roar. The huge sword in his hand suddenly emitted a blazing red light and fiercely roared towards Yang Yen. Traitor, you are courting death. Yang Yen said coldly as he waved the scepter in his hand. Boom! A ball of ferocious flaming monster suddenly rushed out from the scepter and blasted towards Shimenlai. Madame Shimen looked at Tang Buizhao and sneered, despicable toad. Even if I die today, I will make you lose half your life. After saying that, Madame Shimen waved her sharp sword and stabbed towards Tang Buizhao like a gorgeous meteor. A fallen phoenix is inferior to a chicken. I have been waiting for this day for many years. Tang Buizhao sneered. His eyes flashed with greed as he looked at Madame Shimen. He flipped the sword in his hand and fiercely thrust it towards Madame Shimen's chest. Yang Dingtian slowly pointed the night owl greatsword at Shimenju and sneered, Steward Shimen, you have advanced step by step and finally created this situation. You should be very satisfied, right? I am doing this for Cloud Heaven City's 100 years of foundation. I have a clear conscience. Shimenju raised his hand and said, I won't use any weapons to fight you and your wife. I have not let foster father down. After saying that, Shimin Ju suddenly struck out with his palm. Yang Dingtian rushed forward and raised his sword to block, shielding Shimin Yanyan behind him. He aimed at Shimin Ju's energy and used all the mystic qi in his body to strike out with his sword. Bang! An incomparably soft and gentle energy attacked Yang Dingtian's entire body like a torrential river. Pfff. Yang Dingtian violently vomited a mouthful of blood as his body flew dozens of meters away. Husband! Shimin Yanyan cried out miserably. Bang! Yang Dingtian fiercely crashed onto the hard ground and shattered rocks flew everywhere. He instantly felt an incomparably powerful and ruthless energy crazily tearing apart his mystic veins. In an instant, the mystic veins on his right hand were completely destroyed. Qin Shaobai was already very powerful, but compared to Shimin Ju, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. Shimin Ju was truly very powerful, so powerful that Yang Dingtian couldn't even sense what level he was at. Yang Dingtian, you are so weak that you can't even withstand a single blow. Shimin Ju indifferently said, so, why don't you use the evil soul art? That way, you will still have a chance of survival. I will definitely not be merciful. For Cloud Heaven City's foundation, I will be very ruthless. Yanyan ran to Yang Dingtian's side and helped him up. She sobbed and asked, how do you feel? I'm alright. Yang Dingtian used all his strength to sit up with Yanyan's help. He looked at Shimin Ju and asked, why? Why are you doing this? What do you want to achieve? Give me the real answer. Don't tell me those pompous words again. Shimin Ju thought for a moment and sneered, for Cloud Heaven City's 100 years of foundation, I can do anything. It was still the same pompous reply. Then, Shimin Ju said to Yang Dingtian, stand up. You are a hero. You can die standing. Yang Dingtian supported himself with the Night Owl sword and slowly stood up. He sneered at Shimin Ju and said, come, again. Then, Yang Dingtian used his left hand to hold the sword and pointed it at Shimin Ju. No! Yanyan cried as she stood in front of Yang Dingtian and blocked him. She said to Shimin Ju, if you want to kill my husband, you have to kill me first. Yanyan, back off. This is my battle, Yang Dingtian said. No. Yanyan said. Yang Dingtian suddenly pushed Yanyan away. He brandished the Night Owl sword and rushed towards Shimin Ju. The Night Owl sword in his hand whistled with a brilliant light as it ferociously struck out. Shimin Ju gently swung his palm, and a light palm imprint was directly imprinted on Yang Dingtian's chest. Pfff. Yang Dingtian violently vomited blood. He was once again sent flying dozens of meters away like a straw before crashing heavily on the ground. Ah! Yanyan wielded her sword and rushed towards Shimin Ju. She angrily said, Shimin Ju, you bastard. I will fight it out with you. Looking at Yanyan who was rushing towards him, a complicated expression flashed across Shimin Ju's eyes. He looked on as Yanyan's sword pierced towards his chest. His eyes turned cold as he swung his sleeve. Pfff. Yanyan's delicate body was sent flying dozens of meters away like a kite. She vomited a mouthful of blood in the air. Yanyan. When Madame Shimin was fighting with Tang Boizhou, half of her attention was on Yang Dingtian and Yanyan's side. Now that she saw her own daughter vomiting blood from Shimin Ju's palm strike, she instantly let out a miserable cry. Her attention was distracted, and her moves instantly became sluggish. Tang Boizhou saw an opportunity and immediately sneered, Yang Peipei, the humiliation you gave me 20 years ago, I will return it to you today. After speaking, Tang Boizhou's sharp sword pierced towards Madame Shimin's chest. Madame! Shimin Lai shouted and rushed over. He wanted to save Madame Shimin. He completely ignored Great Elder Yang Yan who was chasing after him and pierced the huge sword in his hand towards Yang Boizhou. Bang! Just as Tang Boizhou's sword pierced towards Madame Shimin's chest, it was directly struck by Shimin Lai's huge sword. Pfff. Madame Shimin's chest was pierced by Tang Boizhou's sword. Blood spurted out, and her delicate body flew dozens of meters away. And when Tang Buizhao's sharp sword was struck by Shimin Lai's huge sword, an incomparably large amount of energy fiercely attacked his body. Instantly, he retreated dozens of steps and spat out a mouthful of blood. However, in order to save Madame Shimin, Shimin Lai completely disregarded the fact that he still had a powerful opponent. His back was instantly exposed. Yang Yen saw an opportunity and a sinister smile appeared on his face. He circulated all of his profound qi and an incomparably ferocious fire dragon flew towards Shimin Lai's back. In order to save Madame Shimin, Shimin Lai couldn't dodge in time and his back was struck. Boom! With a loud sound, Shimin Lai's sturdy body was blasted dozens of meters away. His back was charred black and blood spurted out violently. It was a ghastly sight. Yang Dingtian's eye sockets were about to split open. In his grief and anger, he spat out another mouthful of blood. At the same time, Shimin Ju walked over coldly. He raised his palm and aimed it at Shimin Ju's head and was about to strike down. Kill, kill! Yang Dingtian suddenly let out a furious roar. Then, he condensed all of his mental energy and entered the Night Owl huge sword to sense that berserk sword soul. Master, I'm sorry. I went against your words. I went against my oath. I'm sorry, that berserk sword soul was like a vast ocean that constantly surged with monstrous waves. Meanwhile, Yang Dingtian's mental energy was like a small boat. As long as he entered, there was a high chance that he would be smashed into smithereens. Yang Dingtian's small boat suddenly charged into the vast ocean of berserk sword soul. Without his master, Dongfang Minmi, he forcefully controlled this berserk sword soul by himself. Boom! Instantly, his mind exploded and everything turned blank. It was as if a nuclear bomb had exploded. Instantly, the Night Owl huge sword in Yang Dingtian's hand and his body suddenly burst out with an incomparably bright and dazzling radiance. The Night Owl huge sword seemed to have come alive and fused with Yang Dingtian, transforming into an incomparably ferocious sword light that pierced towards Yang Dingtian. As for Shimin Ju's palm, it carried an incomparably powerful energy as it slammed down towards Yang Dingtian's head. Boom! With a loud sound, the two powerful energies ruthlessly clashed together. No, 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 Yen Yen, Madame Shimin, and Shimin Lai let out a series of mournful cries at the same time. Over 10,000 people present were shocked. They were astonished as if they had seen a miracle. It really was the sword soul. It really was the sword soul. Yang Dingtian didn't lie. He really released the sword soul. A shocking strike, dazzling radiance. Half a minute later, the radiance gradually faded away. Only then did everyone see Yang Dingtian and Shimin Ju in the center of the plaza. Shimin Ju's legs were planted on the ground as he retreated over 10 steps. A mouthful of blood violently spurted out, and his eyes were filled with shock. Meanwhile, Yang Dingtian's legs were completely planted on the hard ground. His entire body was naked and bathed in blood. His eyes were tightly shut. His huge sword was domineering, and his killing intent soared to the sky. The entire plaza was silent. Everyone's gaze fell on Yang Dingtian, who was like a statue of the god of war. However, it was unknown whether Yang Dingtian was dead or alive at this moment. Yang Yen put away the shock on his face and roared, "Dispatch the army, kill the rebels." Suddenly, countless warriors rushed out from the ground of the plaza. They waved their swords and charged towards the Black Blood Cavalry. This wasn't the army of Cloud Sky City, but the army of the Northwest Qin family. An army of thousands surrounded and annihilated the Black Blood Cavalry. In for a penny, in for a pound. Since they had already shed all pretense of cordiality, they might as well start a massacre. As for the people who came to watch the battle, they quickly retreated and watched from the sidelines. As for the thousands of Cloud Sky City disciples, they were at a loss and didn't know which side to help. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian and the Black Blood Cavalry were in imminent danger. At this critical moment, Shimin Ningning, who had fainted on the ground, suddenly opened her eyes. Her originally beautiful eyes instantly turned green. The originally kind and gentle Shimin Ningning instantly became incomparably enchanting, incomparably mysterious, and incomparably terrifying. Her graceful body was suddenly surrounded by a green light. I can't hide anymore. However, no matter how serious the consequences are, I will accept it. All of you, go and die. Whoever wants to hurt my loved ones, go and die. Shimin Ningning, who was surrounded by a green light, suddenly flew into the sky. She aimed her palms at the Qin family army and struck out. Suddenly, a huge ball of green light shot out and hit the Qin family army. In an instant, dozens of people died silently. All of you, go and die. Swoosh 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 swoosh. Ningning's body exploded with a terrifying green light and shot towards the Qin family army. The terrifying deep-sea Xian poison instantly took away hundreds of lives. However, there were too many Qin family soldiers. Like a tide, they surged forward and instantly drowned the black blood cavalry that had less than 1,000 people. Moreover, this group of Qin family soldiers' eyes were blood-red and emitted an abnormal light as if they weren't afraid of death. Although the black blood cavalry brothers weren't afraid of death, their numbers were still decreasing rapidly. Soon, they would be completely wiped out. At this moment, Yang Dingtian suddenly opened his eyes. It was a pair of bloodthirsty eyes that didn't look like a human's eyes at all. His whole body was covered with a murderous aura like that of a demon beast. Looking at the Qin family army that was surging towards him. Endless murderous aura, the brutal sword spirit covered his whole body. Endless blood burst out from his body. The brutal and powerful sword spirit was forcefully torn out from his body. Kill, kill, kill. Yang Dingtian, who didn't look like a human, suddenly flew into the sky and waved the huge sword in his hand. The brutal sword spirit fiercely attacked the Qin family army that was surrounding him. Balls of red light turned into brutal beasts and fiercely shot towards the Qin family army. Bang, bang, bang. In an instant, the black mass of the Qin family army, one by one, turned into dust. They were completely crushed. Yang Dingtian, who was surrounded by the brutal sword spirit, was like a god of death, crazily harvesting the lives of the Qin family army. On Yang Yan's side, the expression on his face changed dramatically. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. Looking at Yang Dingtian, who was like a god of death, from the depths of his heart, he felt a burst of tremors. At this moment, Yang Dingtian was still crazily slaughtering the Qin family army. With one slash, he harvested dozens of lives, hundreds of lives. However, blood spurted out from all over his body. His whole body swelled up blood red. In an instant, he was going to completely explode, shatter, and turn into ashes. Yang Dingtian controlled the brutal sword spirit, using the weak to control the strong. In an instant, his soul was going to completely scatter, and turn into ashes. Godmother, knock little Tian out, quick, quick! Shimin Ningning exclaimed. Mrs. Shimin didn't care about Yang Yan and the others who were rushing towards her. She directly rushed to the back of Yang Dingtian's head and lightly hit him with her palm. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian, who was about to completely explode, was directly knocked out, avoiding the fate of being completely crushed. At this moment, the skin all over his body cracked inch by inch, and there were wounds all over his body. It was a shocking sight. Kill Yang Dingtian! Yang Yan roared. Yang Yan, Shimin Tang Buizhao, and the others crazily rushed over, wanting to break through the defense of Mrs. Shimin and the others and completely kill Yang Dingtian. PFFF. Suddenly, Yang Yan's huge palm hit Mrs. Shimin's back. PFFF. Mrs. Shimin spat out a mouthful of blood. At the same time, Yang Yan, Shimin and the others instantly surrounded Yang Dingtian, wanting to completely kill him. Shimin speed was the fastest, and he instantly rushed in front of Yang Dingtian. Don't even think about harming my little Tian. At this moment, Shimin Ningning, whose eyes were about to burst, suddenly exploded with green light like a bomb. Her mystic qi, which carried the deep-sea mystic poison, suddenly exploded into a huge light circle, protecting Yang Dingtian, Mrs. Shimin, and the others. When Yang Yen and the others saw this, they frantically avoided it like snakes and scorpions. Yen Yen, godmother, retreat to Black Blood Castle. Wait for the martial arts competition next winter. Little Tian will kill his way back to Cloud Heaven City and kill all the rebels. The sun and moon alternated, and the stars moved. It was unknown how much time had passed, but it felt like countless years and countless days. Yang Dingtian felt like he was in purgatory at every moment. His entire body felt like it was being boiled in the magma of a volcano. His entire body shattered inch by inch, dissolved inch by inch, and then reconnected inch by inch. His soul, which seemed like it had scattered into the universe, started to condense bit by bit again, condensing. His shattered body and mystic meridians started to reconnect bit by bit. Finally, when the last speck of soul dust condensed, it formed a complete and bright soul, forming a complete Yang Dingtian. Ah! With a shout, Yang Dingtian suddenly broke free, as if he had broken free from purgatory, and also as if he had broken free from the claws of the Grim Reaper. Yang Dingtian opened his eyes and suddenly sat up. Instantly, he found himself naked in a huge pot. Under the pot, there was a raging fire, and inside the pot was a thick liquid. Half of it was blue, and the other half was red. The blue part was bone-chillingly cold. Even if there was a raging fire burning, the cold still seeped into the marrow. The red part was scalding hot like oil, as if it was going to refine a person into a skeleton. It turned out that everything in the dream was real. He was really being boiled in a pot. Inside the pot, there was really half ice and half fire. Yang Dingtian looked elsewhere. This was a cave. However, it wasn't a sinister and terrifying cave like the Temple of 10,000 Blood. Every corner of the cave was made of sparkling and translucent jade, which looked mysterious and beautiful. What exactly is this place? How much time has passed? What happened after I released the Sword Soul in Cloud Heaven City's plaza? Where's Yen Yen? Madam Shimin? Ning Ning? Big brother Shimin Lai? Countless questions surged in his mind. Yang Dingtian shouted into the air, someone, a snow-white figure walked in. It was a beautiful young lady. When she saw that Yang Dingtian had woken up, she immediately walked out. Wait. Yang Dingtian asked, may I ask, where is this place? Where's my wife? Chapter 124. Wait. Yang Dingtian, excuse me, where is this place? Where's my wife? That beautiful girl turned her face, waved her hand at Yang Dingtian, then pointed at her mouth, indicating that she could not speak. You can't speak? Yang Dingtian asked. That girl nodded, then opened her small mouth. This was a beautiful small mouth, her teeth were like white jade, but there was no tongue, it was cut off alive. Yang Dingtian's hair stood on end, such a beautiful girl had her tongue cut off, how cruel was this? The girl smiled at Yang Dingtian, hinting for Yang Dingtian to wait for a while, then walked outside. Yang Dingtian was even more puzzled, what was this place? It was very clear that when he released the Sword Soul at the very end, the Berserk Sword Soul crazily devoured him and instantly destroyed his profound veins inch by inch, causing his soul to nearly vanish into thin air. But this place was actually able to heal him, and with such a bizarre method. And this place was so cruel, to actually cut off a beautiful girl's tongue, maybe it was to keep it a secret. Yang Dingtian climbed up from the pot, and found that his whole body was filled with surging power. Fortunately, his profound energy did not decrease in the slightest. On the table, there was his clothes, and his night owl greatsword. After putting on his clothes, Yang Dingtian looked at this night owl greatsword with a complicated expression, but in the end, he did not touch this sword again. About half an hour later, a slender and elegant figure walked into the stone room. This was a familiar face, a top-quality handsome man, Song Yu. Yang Dingtian knew where this place was, this was the Netherworld Sea, the legendary mysterious and omnipotent Netherworld Sea. It's really unbelievable, you actually recovered. Song Yu looked at Yang Dingtian in disbelief and said, "When you were sent here, your meridians were already destroyed, and you only had a little bit of life left. I didn't expect that in less than 3 months, you would actually recover." 3 months, I was unconscious for nearly 3 months. Yang Dingtian, who sent me here? Where is Yan Yan? Song Yu impatiently frowned. "Listen to what I'm about to say. Don't ask any more questions, I won't answer." Yang Dingtian suppressed his excitement and nodded. "It was Shimin Yan Yan who sent you here. Only she alone knows the way to Sea of Netherworld. I don't know what she experienced, but when she carried you to Sea of Netherworld, she was already riddled with scars and was extremely thin and weak. Then she knelt on the beach of Sea of Netherworld for 7 days and 7 nights, wanting to use Shimin Wuya's favor to exchange for your life." Song Yu said, "I already said, our Sea of Netherworld once owed Shimin Wuya a huge favor. We obtained a Naga's profound vein crystal and wanted to use it to heal Shimin Yanyan's damaged profound veins to repay this favor." Speaking till here, Song Yu took a deep breath and said, "But, Shimin Yanyan gave up her only chance to recover her strength and instead gave this chance to you. Of course, the favor of my Sea of Netherworld is not a child's play. It's not something that you can transfer to whoever you want, so even if she knelt down and died, it's useless. Originally, you and Shimin Yanyan should have died on this beach, but afterwards things took a turn for the better. My martial uncle Ji Wuyan took a fancy to her brilliant flame vein. She just happened to lack a sword attendant, so martial uncle Ji Wuyan proposed a condition. If Shimin Yanyan was willing to become her sword attendant, then Sea of Netherworld could save you, Yang Dingtian." In the end, Shimin Yanyan agreed. Sword attendant, in the ordinary sense, was the person who carried the sword on a daily basis and also acted as the trusted aide and apprentice. Ning Ruhan was the daughter of the head of one of the biggest forces under Inyang School, so she became Dongfang Bingling's sword attendant. Sea of Netherworld's Ji Wuyan's status could be considered to be the same as Yan Yan, so it wasn't a disgrace for Shimin Wuya to become her sword attendant, but Yang Dingtian still felt distressed in his heart. Being senior Ji Wuyan's sword attendant, is it possible to cure Yan Yan's profound veins? Yang Dingtian asked. Song Yu shook his head and said, "The only Naga's profound vein crystal has already been used on you. If you want to cure Shimin Yan Yan, you have to get another Naga's profound vein crystal, but do you think it's possible? Then when can Shimin Yan Yan leave?" Yang Dingtian suppressed his rapid breathing and asked. "Of course she can't leave." Song Yu said, "She is the one who exchanged your life, how can she leave?" Yang Dingtian, "Then what if I find another Naga's profound vein crystal, or something even more precious? Can Yan Yan leave?" "Of course you can." Song Yu said, "However, our Sea of Netherworld has only gotten one Naga's profound vein crystal in the past few decades, do you think you can get it?" No matter how difficult it was, he had to do it. Yang Dingtian took a deep breath, calmed his surging blood, and slowly said, "I want to see Yan Yan." "Are you sure you want to see her?" Song Yu looked at Yang Dingtian. "No man is allowed to set foot on martial uncle Ji Wuyan's island, otherwise they will die without a burial place. Please help." Yang Dingtian bowed and said. Song Yu looked at Yang Dingtian and sighed softly, "You are so proud, it is not easy to make you bow. I will arrange a boat for you, as for whether you live or die when you go to martial uncle Ji Wuyan, I don't care." After saying that, Song Yu walked out. A few minutes later, someone came to tell Yang Dingtian that the boat was ready. Yang Dingtian walked out of the cave. At this time, he was in the mood to look at the scenery of the Sea of Netherworld. This was the Sea of Netherworld. It was not like the scenery of the mortal world at all, beautiful to the extreme and mysterious to the extreme. The sky was completely blue, emitting a cold and gentle light all the time, and the 2 suns could not be seen. Every corner was bright, but there was no dazzling light in any corner. Walking out of the cave, there was a beach. The sand here was all like broken silver, crystal clear and emitting a charming fluorescence. The boat was ready, but Yang Dingtian could only row the boat himself, because he did not dare to go to Ji Wuyan's Wuyan Island. Yang Dingtian boarded the boat. This was an exquisite small wooden boat, completely carved out of a piece of wood, exquisite and wonderful. Gently rowing, the seawater was like shattered jade, transparent and clean to the extreme, emitting a little bit of light. All this beautiful scenery was like a dream, as if it was completely unreal, like the sea full of fantasy and the drifting of the young school. Yang Dingtian continued to row forward. Along the way, they passed by several islands. Some were completely jadeite, some were completely purple-red coral reefs, and there was also an island that was completely covered in green trees without any sand. In short, it was a beautiful island. Half an hour later, they arrived at Wuyan Island, which was already in sight. Wuyan Island was so ugly, so gray, and was completely composed of a pile of gray and black stones, each stone was sinister and strange. It was completely different from the islands they passed by along the way. Before reaching the shore, Yang Dingtian shouted, "Senior Ji Wuyan, Yang Dingtian is here to pay a visit." Ah! Suddenly, a cry of surprise came from Wuyan Island. It was so familiar, it was Yan Yan. "Get lost, any man who steps on my Wuyan Island will be immediately torn into pieces." A hoarse voice sounded, it was as unpleasant as a witch's voice. "Grandma." Shimin Yan Yan's pleading voice came from the island. "Shimin Yan Yan, remember your identity. Don't think that just because I've been nice to you for 2 days, you can take advantage of me. Have you forgotten about your punishment?" Ji Wuyan said coldly. Although she was a woman, her voice was even worse than a man's. "Grandma, grandma, grandma." Yan Yan continued to act coquettishly. Yang Dingtian could even feel that Yan Yan's whole body was twisting like sesame candy at this time. Finally, Ji Wuyan couldn't stand Yan Yan's coquettish magic and said coldly, "I'll give you half an incense stick's time. Once you exceed that time, I'll immediately beat that man to death and break your legs." "Thank you, Grandma." Then, Shimin Yan Yan ran out of the black house like a deer. Suddenly, the whole gray island lit up. Because of the existence of Yan Yan, the ugly and strange island became cute. Husband. When she was dozens of meters away from Yang Dingtian, Yan Yan opened her arms and rushed into Yang Dingtian's arms like a chick. Yang Dingtian opened his arms, and Yan Yan's plump and delicate body suddenly crashed into his arms. The two of them didn't say anything. Their hot lips suddenly kissed each other. Finally, when the two of them almost couldn't breathe and started to feel dizzy because of the lack of oxygen, they reluctantly let go. Yang Dingtian held Yan Yan's face in his hands. It was still as delicate and beautiful as before. It was just that she was a little thinner, and her chin was a little sharper. Her original baby fat had turned into a delicate oval face. Yang Dingtian held her small waist. "Yan Yan, you've become thinner. My Yan Yan has become thinner. My baby has become thinner." Yang Dingtian said softly. "Husband, I've just grown up." Yan Yan said tenderly, "And the places that shouldn't be thinner are not thinner at all." Yang Dingtian gently caressed her face. Originally, his heart was filled with extreme anger, hostility, and boundless fury. But holding this most beautiful body, it was as if a clear spring water poured into his heart, making him gradually calm down. Enjoying this sweet silence, Yang Dingtian didn't even want to talk. "Yan Yan, where's your mother? Sister Ningning? Brother Shimin Lai?" Yang Dingtian asked, "What happened after I activated the sword soul that day?" Suddenly, the joy on Yan Yan's face faded. Then, she narrated the situation. "What I didn't expect was that in the end, Yang Shishir actually stopped the Qin City army from chasing us." Yan Yan recounted everything that happened after Yang Dingtian fainted. When she talked about how Shimin Ningning massacred thousands of people, her beautiful face revealed a look of disbelief. Just like that, Sister Ningning blocked all of Yang Yan's experts and thousands of traitors by herself. "She let us bring hundreds of black blood cavalry to protect you and successfully retreat out of Cloud Sky City." Thinking about Shimin Ningning, Yang Dingtian suddenly felt suffocated. He asked, "Then, Sister Ningning, what happened in the end?" I don't know." Yan Yan said, "Anyway, when I saw her for the last time, she was flying in midair and poisoned nearly 100 people to death. Her body emitted a green light, and as long as you came into contact with it, you would be poisoned to death. No one dared to come within 100 feet of her. I didn't expect that the gentle and kind Sister Ningning, who couldn't even bear to step on ants, would actually be so terrifying. Yang Dingtian suddenly felt a strong twitch in his heart, and the image of Shimin Ningning's gentle and sly face appeared in his mind. Then, what about your mother, brother Shimin Lai, and the others? Yang Dingtian asked. Yan Yan said, when we ran with all our might to Black Blood Castle, there was already another cavalry army of thousands of people crazily attacking Black Blood Castle. The so-called trial by duel was a scheme planned by Shiminju, Yang Yan, and the others. They wanted to catch all of us on this day. And then? Was Black Blood Castle lost? Yang Dingtian asked. Yan Yan said, no. At that time, there were more than 1,000 Black Blood cavalry and more than 2,000 servants in the castle. They were fighting fiercely with Qin City's army. Brother Shiminju brought a few hundred Black Blood cavalry and rushed to Black Blood Castle. The morale of the Black Blood cavalry in the castle was greatly boosted. They attacked from the front and back and defeated the Northwest Qin clan's cavalry army. Immediately after, Yan Yan said, Big brother, now that I think of something, I feel that it is a little strange. What is it? Yang Dingtian asked. Yan Yan said, Tang Xian's body suddenly turned numb. When she pounced on my treasure sword, her eyes were filled with pain, and her mouth seemed to be shouting a word. I didn't hear it back then, but now that I think about it, it might be the word fear. Furthermore, after she fell to the ground, her hand seemed to be desperately trying to write on the mud. However, her entire body was numb, and her writing was crooked. Furthermore, she didn't finish writing. Now that I think about it, it might be the word fear. Shiminju? Yang Dingtian asked, Yan Yan, why do you think so? Yan Yan said, because after we left Cloud Heaven City, Yang Shishir secretly sent us a letter, telling us to be careful of Shiminju. He said that the reason why Tang Xian found out about Yang Shishir and Qin Xiaobai's scandal was because someone invited her to a remote valley. Yang Dingtian's heart suddenly jumped. That's right. From the looks of it, it was Shiminju. Qin Xiaobai, this venomous snake, had schemed to frame Yan Yan. But behind him, there was still Shiminju. It could be inferred that Shiminju had found out about Qin Xiaobai and Yang Shishir's scandal long ago, but he didn't make it public. Instead, he invited Tang Xian to the place that Qin Xiaobai and Yang Shishir often went to and let Tang Xian discover everything. After Qin Xiaobai humiliated Tang Xian, he immediately thought of a plan to kill 3 birds with 1 stone. Kill Tang Xian, frame Yan Yan, and take the opportunity to get rid of Yang Dingtian. This plan was extremely vicious. Qin Xiaobai thought that he was proud of himself, but he didn't expect that he had completely fallen into Shiminju's trap. His weakness was completely in Shiminju's hands, along with Yang Shishir's scandal and Tang Xian's death. This way, Shiminju could destroy Qin Xiaobai at any time in the future. He could borrow Qin Xiaobai's hand to kill Yang Dingtian, then he could use morality to destroy Qin Xiaobai. This way, no one would compete with him for the position of Cloud Heaven City Lord. Instantly, Yang Dingtian sucked in a breath of cold air. Qin Xiaobai was already a venomous snake, but in front of Shiminju, he seemed so immature. Yang Dingtian had never seen or heard of such a scheming and sinister person like Shiminju. Yang Dingtian sucked in a deep breath and said, he is indeed your father's most outstanding adopted son. He's really powerful. And this person would become Yang Dingtian's greatest enemy in the competition for the position of Cloud Heaven City Lord. In terms of cultivation, Shiminju should be close to the martial revered realm. In terms of scheming, he was unfathomable. Such an enemy really made everyone tremble in fear. So what if his scheming is deep? What can truly decide everything is still your own strength and the sharp sword in your hand. Yang Dingtian said, in front of absolute strength, all schemes are nothing. There was still about a year until the martial contest for the position of city lord. Within this year, Yang Dingtian had to become stronger, stronger. He had to break through from mystic martial warrior to mystic martial master, great mystic martial master, martial mystic, martial ancestor, or even higher. Only by breaking through to the martial ancestor realm could Yang Dingtian obtain the position of city lord in the martial contest and bring Yan Yan, Madam Shiman, and big brother Shimanlai back to Cloud Heaven City. Seeing the bulging veins on Yang Dingtian's forehead, Yan Yan gently caressed his face and said softly, "Big brother, our Cloud Heaven City has been taken over, but I won't cry because I still have you. As long as you are here, Yan Yan's home is still there. And I believe that one day, you will help Yan Yan take back Cloud Heaven City." Humph. At this moment, Ji Wuyan's cold snort came from the island. Half an incense stick's time was up. "Big brother, I really regret not loving you properly when I had the time. Now, I realize that I really love you, but I don't have the time anymore," Yan Yan mournfully said. "Don't worry, we still have a lot of time in the future," Yang Dingtian gently said. "Before the martial contest, I will definitely come back to the Sea of Hades. At that time, no matter what method I use, I will bring you away. We will take back Cloud Heaven City together, take back our home, and take back your little house." "Yes, I believe you. I will always believe you," Yan Yan desperately nodded. Then, she raised her beautiful eyes and said, "Big brother, it's a pity that we don't have time. Otherwise, I have already said that I will give myself to you completely. Although we are husband and wife, we have never truly been together." Yang Dingtian smiled and said, "Then let's make a promise. After I kill Shimanju, after I take back Cloud Heaven City, after I take back our home, we will truly be together and never be separated." "Okay. Okay." Yan Yan tenderly said, "At that time, I will let you know that I am the best wife, even better than big sister Ningning." Yang Dingtian's eyes reddened. He gently said, "You have always been the best little wife. You will always be." At this moment, Ji Wuyan's angry voice came from the island, "Why are you still not leaving? Do you really want me to break your legs?" "Senior, I will leave now," Yang Dingtian said. "Big brother, I love you. Kiss me one more time, until I die." Yan Yan raised her head and said. The two of them once again kissed with all their might as if the end of the world had arrived. They only separated when the two of them were about to die. "Baby, you can go back. Remember, I will come and pick you up in a year." Yang Dingtian gently let go of Yan Yan. "Okay." Yan Yan desperately nodded. Yang Dingtian picked up Yan Yan and gently tossed her onto the shore. Then, he began to row the boat backwards. Yan Yan's beautiful eyes looked at Yang Dingtian, blossoming with tenderness. Tears surged out. "Big brother, remember to go to the Mu Clan docks in the southwest continent. I hid the second stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship there." Yan Yan suddenly remembered an important matter. She didn't care about Ji Wuyan at the side and loudly shouted at Yang Dingtian. "Okay, I will go immediately after leaving the Netherworld Sea," Yang Dingtian said. There were still a lot of things to say, but there was not enough time. Ji Wuyan was already beginning to fly into a rage. Why did only Yan Yan bring Yang Dingtian to the Netherworld Sea? Why did Yan Yan separate from Yan Yan and the others? Why did the second stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship fall into Yan Yan's hands? He didn't have time to say all these. "Big brother, I brought you to the Netherworld Sea when we were intercepted by traitors. When we were in danger, a black-cloaked man wearing a clown mask saved me. Moreover, he gave me the second stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship and escorted me to the Netherworld Sea. He is very powerful and very mysterious. I don't know who he is," Yan Yan said again. Slap. Before Yan Yan finished speaking, Yang Dingtian's face suddenly suffered a slap. Immediately, he felt a burning pain. Yang Dingtian still bowed and said, "Senior, please take care of my wife," slap 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 slap. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian's whole body suffered a few more slaps. Under the intense pain, he almost couldn't stand. "Please, Senior." Yang Dingtian then rowed the boat, turned around, and rowed outside. "Big brother, I'll wait for you to pick me up," Yan Yan shouted from behind. Suddenly, Yang Dingtian finally couldn't help but burst into tears. He gently muttered to himself, "Yan Yan, at most 1 year, I'll come and pick you up." Perhaps, before Yang Dingtian became strong, the Netherworld Sea was the safest place for Yan Yan. A few hours later, Yang Dingtian opened his eyes again. He was already floating on the surface of the sea. The two suns in the sky were shining. He had already left the Netherworld Sea, the most mysterious place in the world. Everything about it was under the surface of the sea. It was like an independent space hidden under the surface of the sea. The island, the sky, and the silver beach were all under the surface of the sea. However, no one knew how to enter. Yang Dingtian rowed away from the surface of the sea and came to the beach. The beach here was a normal beach. It was also the beach where Yan Yan knelt for 7 days and 7 nights. "Yan Yan, wait for me to bring you home." Yang Dingtian looked at the mysterious sea for the last time. He then turned around and ran towards the north. After running for a few hundred miles, he quickly reached the vast sea. On the other side of the sea was the southwest continent. The Mu Clan docks was at the southernmost tip of the southwest continent. Yan Yan was hiding in the second stage of the pig-slaying swordsmanship. The fire immunity chilling pearl that Yang Dingtian needed was also in the southwest continent. Moreover, there was only less than a month until the blooming of the supreme great earth fire. To enter the Fire Cloud Devil Cave, one must have the fire immunity chilling pearl. The time left for Yang Dingtian to find the fire immunity chilling pearl was very tight. The southwest continent and the northwest continent faced each other across the sea. They were more than 5,000 miles apart. Presumably, the northwest continent and the southwest continent used to be a complete continent. They were just separated. Previously, Yan Yan brought Yang Dingtian to travel thousands of miles to the south of the northwest continent. They then sailed for 5,000 miles, crossed the southwest continent, and went out to sea for another few thousand miles before reaching the Netherworld Sea. Therefore, Yang Dingtian stayed in the Netherworld Sea for more than 2 months. However, Yan Yan brought him on the road for almost a month. They went through untold hardships and suffered hardships. Yang Dingtian couldn't imagine what kind of hardships Yan Yan went through along the way. However, whenever he thought of the scene of Yan Yan kneeling on the beach with wounds all over her body, Yang Dingtian's heart felt like it was going to shatter. All of this was because he wasn't strong enough. There was still 1 year. There was still 1 year until the City Lord duel in Cloud Heaven City. This was his only chance to openly take back Cloud Heaven City. It was also his last chance. There was only 1 year. He had to make himself stronger. He wouldn't criticize Shimanju for being despicable and shameless. He also wouldn't scold him for being ungrateful because all of this would be meaningless. When the time came, he would directly chop off Shimanju's head. That would be the best response to this despicable person. Shimanju, Yang Yan. Wait for me in Cloud Heaven City. Yang Dingtian rowed a small boat alone. He traveled day and night, constantly heading north. Yang Dingtian only relied on a small boat to travel the 5,000 miles of sea region. He traveled day and night crazily. When he was hungry, he would catch fish and eat them raw. Of course, this sea region was filled with fatal traps set up by the Netherworld Sea. If there wasn't a sea map from the Netherworld Sea, any ship that passed by would inevitably be destroyed. Half a month later, Yang Dingtian stepped onto the southwest continent. At this moment, Yang Dingtian had grown a beard. His entire face was tanned and rough from the sun and sea breeze. His entire appearance had completely changed. His face was filled with vicissitudes as though he was 10 years older. Even if he didn't put on any makeup, no one would be able to recognize that this was Yang Dingtian. The southwest continent was hot and humid. It was filled with deep mountains and dense forests. Demonic beasts ran amok everywhere. There were plagues and wild poisons everywhere. It was called a barbarian land by the entire chaotic world. The southwest continent spanned nearly 10,000 miles, but its population was less than 10 million. It wasn't even 1/10 of the northwest continent's population. Ever since Li Tianxiao killed hundreds of thousands of the Southwest Alliance army 200 years ago, the prestigious sects viewed this land as an unclean land. Since then, the forces in this land gradually slid towards evil. The Mu Clan docks was at the southernmost tip of the southwest continent. It was about 100 miles away from the coastline. When he was in the Netherworld Sea, due to the lack of time, Yang Dingtian didn't have time to inquire about the Mu Clan docks. He also didn't know why Yan trusted the Mu Clan docks so much that she actually placed such a peerless treasure like the pig-slaying sword art here. After asking around along the way, Yang Dingtian finally found out. Within a radius of a few hundred miles, the Mu Clan docks was considered a relatively large force. They mainly made a living by harvesting pearls from the sea. "Uncle, may I know how to get to the Mu Clan docks?" At the tea stall, Yang Dingtian bought a big bowl of tea and asked the tea stall's uncle. "Go straight. Do you see this road? It leads straight to the Mu Clan docks." This road was opened by the Mu Clan. The tea stall's uncle glanced at Yang Dingtian and asked, "Why? Young man, are you also planning to participate in the marriage by martial arts competition?" "Marriage by martial arts competition? What's going on?" Yang Dingtian asked. "Oh, you aren't here to participate in the marriage by martial arts competition? That's strange. Outsiders rarely come to a small place like ours." "Young man, what are you here for?" the tea stall's uncle asked. "I'm here to buy pearls. I heard that the Mu Clan docks is the largest pearl harvesting clan in this area." Yang Dingtian replied, "I have a small business. However, the price of the goods from the middleman is too high. Therefore, I came to the Mu Clan docks to purchase the goods myself." The tea stall's uncle said, "I see. If it was in the past, you would definitely be able to buy the pearls at a cheap price. The Mu Clan is very kind. Although their clan is powerful, they have never bullied commoners like us. Logically speaking, the dozens of miles around us can be considered their territory. The Mu Clan doesn't collect much taxes and even sends food and meat to us every day. They are like bodhisattvas. It's a pity that good people don't have good karma." Yang Dingtian asked, "What exactly is going on?" "Uncle, please tell me." The tea stall's uncle sighed and said, "It's all because of Miss Mu Liani's beauty. I don't know how, but Miss Liani's beauty has spread to the ears of the young master of the Raging Flames Castle, who is hundreds of miles away. He directly sent a marriage proposal to the Mu Clan docks and asked for a reply within 10 days. However, the young master of the Raging Flames Castle is notorious for his cruelty and debauchery. Marrying Miss Liani to him is undoubtedly pushing her into a fire pit. However, the Raging Flames Castle is very powerful and the Mu Clan master can't reject it directly. Therefore, he has no choice but to announce that Miss Mu Liani is participating in the marriage by martial arts competition. As long as one's martial arts is better than Miss Mu Liani's and passes the moral test, he can become the son-in-law of the Mu Clan docks. If Miss Mu Liani is already married, then she has a reason to reject the young master of the Raging Flames Castle. Then can someone go on stage to compete? Yang Dingtian asked. Yes. Although the Raging Flames Castle is very powerful, there are still many people who admire Miss Liani and come to the Mu Clan docks to participate in the marriage by martial arts competition. However, in order to stop people from participating, the Raging Flames Castle has set up checkpoints at every intersection. As long as it's a young man from the outside participating in the marriage, they will break his or her legs. The tea stall's uncle said, "That's why I asked you from the start if you're here to participate in the marriage by martial arts competition. If you are, and your martial arts aren't very good, I advise you not to go. Also, I don't think you're very good at martial arts." "Uncle, don't worry. I'm not here to participate in the martial arts competition. I'm here to buy beads. Thank you for telling me this. Goodbye." Yang Dingtian put down a silver coin. It's so big. I can't give you change, the tea stall's uncle said. Keep the change. Yang Dingtian stood up and left. Young man, don't go. They don't care if you're participating in the marriage by martial arts competition. As long as you're an outsider, they will beat you up. The tea stall's uncle chased after him. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Yang Dingtian got on his horse and galloped along the muddy road. Stop. Get down. Sure enough, after riding for less than 10 miles, he met with a tiger blocking his way. More than 10 people blocked the road. With swords in their hands, they shouted at Yang Dingtian, "Where did you come from? Where are you going? Miss Mu, our young castle master has decided to marry you. Get out of here immediately, or we'll break your limbs. I'm not here to participate in the marriage by martial arts competition. I'm just here to buy beads." Yang Dingtian took out a bag of silver coins and said, "Gentlemen, please do me a favor. Throw the money over." The leader of the men said. Yang Dingtian threw the bag of money over. The brawny man took the bag of money and opened it. He immediately beamed with joy. There were dozens of silver coins. He had really made a small fortune. After putting the bag of money in his arms, the brawny man turned hostile and said, "You'd better get out of here. Go back to where you came from, or we'll break your limbs. We'll even break your fifth leg. Let's see if you want sex or your life." Yang Dingtian picked up a lance from under the horse. This lance was different from the ancient lances on earth. It was made of tough and soft metal. Each lance was worth more than 100 gold coins. Yang Dingtian used this weapon to hide his identity. Seeing this lance, the brawny man's eyes immediately showed a greedy look. He shouted, "It's a fat sheep. Brothers, let's go." Suddenly, more than 10 people rushed up together and attacked Yang Dingtian with swords and sabers. Bang! Yang Dingtian swept the lance. Suddenly, the 3 men in the lead flew out and vomited blood. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. From the underbrush, a few cold lights suddenly shot out toward Yang Dingtian's chest. Yang Dingtian straightened his chest and directly faced these poisoned hidden weapons. Hee, this move is still useful. The leader of the brawny men sneered. But then he was stunned. Because when the hidden weapons touched Yang Dingtian's chest, not only did they not pierce his flesh, but they also bounced off. The brawny man was shocked. Was this the profound aura shield? Seeing that the situation was not good, the brawny man ordered his men to continue attacking while he turned around to escape. Who? Yang Dingtian fiercely threw out the lance in his hand. It directly hit the brawny man's back and sent him flying for more than 10 meters. He vomited blood and fell to the ground. The lance bent in the air and flew back to Yang Dingtian's hand. Bang 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 bang. After receiving the horse lance, Yang Dingtian broke the legs of the remaining people with the lance. Suddenly, it was a mess. Many thieves were rolling on the ground, wailing and howling. Since you broke other people's legs, I will break yours. If you can't do evil in the future, go home and do farming. Chapter 125. A manual left behind by a girl. Yang Dingtian said. Mu Liancheng's expression changed drastically as he immediately turned to close all the doors and windows. After listening carefully to make sure there was no one around, he came to Yang Dingtian and knelt down. Cloud Heaven City's sinner, Mu Shun, pays his respects to young master. Yang Dingtian was astonished and quickly went up to support him. I don't dare. Why is your master bowing so formally? Mu Liancheng resolutely knelt on the ground and refused to get up. Young master doesn't know. I was originally City Lord Shiman's personal servant, but because I committed a grave mistake, I was sent here. Young master, please listen to me. Following which, Mu Liancheng recounted the past events. Mu Liancheng's original name was Mu Shun. He was originally Shimen Wuya's sword-bearing servant and was Shimen Wuya's closest and most trusted person. He had followed Shimen Wuya since he was a teenager. On the surface, they were master and servant, but Shimen Wuya treated him like an elder brother. Over 10 years ago, Mu Shun fell in love with a woman and was infatuated with her. Who knew that she was just a honey trap used by the enemy? She was with Mu Shun just to harm Shimen Wuya. One day, when Mu Shun wasn't paying attention, she actually poisoned Shimen Wuya's sword with the mystic extinguishing strange poison. Back then, Shimen Wuya wasn't the Cloud Heaven City Lord yet and was about to fight for the Cloud Heaven City Lord's position. In the end, the sword was poisoned and Shimen Wuya's strength was greatly damaged, causing him to almost lose the battle for the City Lord position. However, Shimen Wuya was a prodigy, and even though he was poisoned, he still defeated everyone to obtain the City Lord position. However, his body was severely injured and his cultivation regressed by several years. On the day of the duel, the woman who was in love with Mu Shun had disappeared. Mu Shun was astonished and infuriated. He was filled with regret and guilt. He knelt in front of Shimen Wuya and wanted to draw his sword and commit suicide. But Shimen Wuya stopped him. He said to Mu Shun, "I believe you, you will never harm me. Death is the easiest, but living is the most difficult." Mu Shun immediately dispelled any thoughts of suicide. Even if he had to kill himself, he had to find that woman and kill her. After spending a full 8 months, Mu Shun finally saw that woman again, the woman who haunted his dreams and who he hated to the core. However, at that time, she was covered in blood and was being chased. The person behind her wanted to kill her to silence her. Most importantly, she was pregnant. Judging from the date, it was Mu Shun's child. Thus, Mu Shun rushed out with his sword and rescued the woman. However, there was an endless stream of people chasing after them, so the two of them continued to flee. Mu Shun originally wanted to kill her, but in the end, he saved her, so he didn't have the face to return to Cloud Heaven City. Thus, he brought her all the way south to the southernmost coast of the northwest continent. He was prepared to take a boat out to the southwest wilderness to hide, but who knew that at this time, her stomach would actually give birth to a child. As a result, the two of them delayed and gave birth to a child on the beach. The child was his daughter, Mu Lieni. Just as Mu Shun didn't have time to cut the umbilical cord for the child, the enemy had already arrived. He fought with all his might. However, it was difficult for one person to fight against so many enemies. He was truly in despair. He didn't care if he died, but he didn't want his child to fall into the hands of the enemy. Just as the family of 3 was about to be dismembered, Shimen Wuya appeared and killed all the enemies. It turned out that he had been searching for Mu Shun outside for a month. Fortunately, he heard the sounds of fighting from a few miles away and finally rushed over at the last moment. Mu Shun had mixed feelings and felt so guilty that he wanted to die. He immediately knelt in front of Shimen Wuya and said that he could die and that woman could die, but he begged Shimen Wuya to spare his daughter and bring her back to Cloud Heaven City as a slave. At that time, Shimen Wuya sighed softly and threw a bag of money to Mu Shun. He said that Mu Shun wasn't suited to live a life of licking blood. Bring the woman and child to the southwest wilderness to live a normal life. After finishing his words, Shimen Wuya left, leaving behind Mu Shun, that woman, and the crying baby. As such, Mu Shun came here and relied on Shimen Wuya's bag of gold coins to save up the Mu clan docks. From then on, he changed his name to Mu Liancheng. At this moment, Mu Liancheng's body was trembling from crying. He sobbed and said, "There were countless times when I wanted to bring my child up north to meet the city lord, but I didn't dare to. I didn't have the face to do so. Until a few months ago, the young mistress, who was covered in wounds, appeared in front of me and told me that the city lord was no longer around. This was like a bolt from the blue. I felt as though my liver and guts were about to explode. If I still had a daughter to take care of, I really wanted to follow the city lord. However, the young mistress entrusted this scroll to me. She said that in a few months, or half a year to a year later, a man would come to retrieve this scroll. That man would be her husband, the future Cloud Heaven City Lord. As such, I waited day and night for the arrival of the young mistress. After finishing his statement, Mu Liancheng collapsed onto the ground and cried loudly. He couldn't get up anymore. At this moment, Yang Dingtian finally knew why Yan Yan would place such an important and precious pig-slaying sword art scroll here. He was indeed a trustworthy person. If even he couldn't be trusted, then there was basically no one else in this world that could be trusted. Mu, Uncle Mu, please get up. Yang Dingtian went forward and helped Mu Liancheng to sit down. This old slave doesn't dare. Mu Liancheng quickly said, Young mistress, please wait for a moment. I will immediately retrieve the scroll. No hurry. Uncle Mu, please take a seat. Yang Dingtian said, I still have something to ask Uncle Mu. What is going on with your daughter's spouse finding martial competition? Mu Liancheng waved his hand and said, You don't have to bother about these small matters. You have important matters to attend to. My daughter is fine. You don't have to worry. Originally, Yang Dingtian didn't intend to bother, but he didn't expect Mu Liancheng and Shimen Wuya to have such a close relationship. He had no choice but to interfere. I will definitely interfere in this matter. Yang Dingtian said, Our Cloud Heaven City might have encountered a huge change, but we don't have to care about a desolate land's outskirts faction. How powerful is the Raging Flames Castle? What is their master's cultivation level? If I can't do it, I will immediately send a letter to the Northwest Continent and ask Big Brother Shimen Lai to lead a portion of the Black Blood Cavalry to eliminate the Raging Flames Castle. Our Cloud Heaven City's ladies cannot be bullied. With young mistress's words, this old slave's death will be worth it. Mu Liancheng said, But young mistress, this isn't a simple matter. The Raging Flames Castle didn't forcefully marry my daughter just because of her beauty, but because of a treasure. Treasure? What treasure? Yang Dingtian asked. Mu Liancheng said, Young mistress, you know that our Mu clan docks relies on pearl harvesting for a living. I don't know if we are lucky or unlucky. One day, my daughter, Liani, went into the sea to harvest pearls and actually found a rare treasure. This treasure is priceless and is comparable to 10 or even 100 of our Mu clan docks. It is actually so precious. What kind of pearl is that? Yang Dingtian was astonished. This was a world where martial prowess reigned supreme. Therefore, the value of jewelry wasn't as important as the Earth era. Fire immunity chilling pearl. Mu Liancheng said. Fire immunity chilling pearl. Yang Dingtian's body shook as he said in disbelief. The fire immunity chilling pearl was something that he needed the most right now. The fire immunity chilling pearl was formed by the condensation of heaven and earth's coldest energy. It usually grew in the frost ice mystic jade that was 10,000 meters below the sea. Then, there would be an earthquake at the bottom of the sea, causing the tough frost ice mystic jade to shatter. The fire immunity chilling pearl shot out and floated in the vast sea. This Mu Liani was extremely lucky to be able to harvest this priceless pearl that was only seen once in 100 years in the vast sea. Mu Liancheng was right. This fire immunity chilling pearl was worth more than 100 Mu clan docks and could be considered priceless. As the name suggested, the fire immunity chilling pearl could defend against almost all powerful fire attribute attacks. If a mystic martial warrior possessed the fire immunity chilling pearl, even if the opponent was a master-class expert and released a powerful mystic skill, the mystic martial warrior wouldn't be injured. Therefore, with the fire immunity chilling pearl, one would have a few more lives. To those who needed it, it wasn't an exaggeration to say that it was a priceless treasure. And Yang Dingtian happened to be the person who needed this fire immunity chilling pearl the most. After obtaining the second rank of the pig-slaying sword art, he would have to head to the Fire Cloud Devil Cave. There was a 9th grade earth fire there, and Yang Dingtian wanted to forge his own elementary sword soul there. Because he had been unconscious for over 2 months while recuperating in the Sea of Hades, Yan Yan had brought him to the Sea of Hades for close to a month. Therefore, there were less than 20 days before the peak-grade earth fire would bloom. Once he missed it, he would have to wait 10 years for it to bloom again. This place was still a few thousand miles away from the Fire Cloud Devil Cave. Therefore, the time that Yang Dingtian had to search for the fire immunity chilling pearl was extremely tight. He didn't expect to find it so effortlessly after searching high and low for it. How could he not be pleasantly surprised? In order to defeat Dongfang Bingling, Yang Dingtian had to cultivate a sword soul in the shortest time possible. Although in history, only grandmasters could cultivate a sword soul for battle, Yang Dingtian wanted to break this miracle. It could be said that forging a sword soul and cultivating a sword soul were the most important things for Yang Dingtian. It was also the most important step for Yang Dingtian to become stronger. And the elementary sword was the first and most important step in the cultivation of a sword soul. And even if it was just an elementary sword, its power was amazing. It could definitely increase Yang Dingtian's combat strength by a few levels. However, there was a heaven fire phoenix guarding the Fire Cloud Devil Cave. This was an extremely powerful demonic beast, and it was not inferior to the Lord of the Abyss who guarded thousands of bloody black gold. 20 years ago, Dongfang Minmi had entered the Fire Cloud Devil Cave. In the end, not only was he helpless against the heaven fire phoenix, he almost lost his life there. At that time, Dongfang Minmi was not far from becoming a grandmaster. Therefore, trying to kill an unsealed heaven fire phoenix was a pipe dream. But with the fire immunity chilling pearl, all the problems were solved. Because the fire immunity chilling pearl could defend against almost all powerful fire elemental attacks for a certain period of time, it could allow Yang Dingtian to enter the Fire Cloud Devil Cave smoothly. As if it was fate, when Yang Dingtian was going to the Fire Cloud Devil Cave to forge the elementary sword, the Mu clan docs obtained the fire immunity chilling pearl. However, it was still a little troublesome to obtain the fire immunity chilling pearl. The most powerful force within 1,000 miles, the Raging Flames Castle, also had their eyes on the fire immunity chilling pearl. They wanted both the person and the treasure. Yang Dingtian asked, "The fire immunity chilling pearl is such a rare treasure. The Mu clan docs couldn't wait to keep it a secret after obtaining it. How did it get out? Isn't that so?" Mu Lianqing said, "We know that a man's wealth is his own ruin. Therefore, when I obtained the treasured pearl, I buried it deeply and gave a gag order to the few people who knew about it. Then, when young lord came to retrieve the scroll, I offered this fire immunity chilling pearl as a token of my sincerity. Who knew that there would be an unfilial son in the clan?" Instantly, Mu Lianqing clenched his teeth and said, "Because I had always felt guilty and felt that I didn't deserve to live such a perfect life. Therefore, I did good deeds everywhere, hoping to make up for my previous sins. Therefore, my clan adopted many orphans as foster sons. Among them, Mu Zhe was the smartest. I liked him the most and treated him as my own son. Therefore, even though he was my foster son, Mu Zhe was considered half a master in the Mu clan docs. Only 3 people knew that Liani had obtained the fire immunity chilling pearl. Me, Liani, and Mu Zhe's unfilial son. All along, Mu Zhe had adored Liani and wanted to marry her. I was happy to see it happen. However, Liani didn't like Mu Zhe and said that he was frivolous and crafty. Mu Zhe had proposed to me many times, and I was willing, but how could I go against Liani's wishes? Therefore, Mu Zhe had resentment in his heart and said that although I treated him well on the surface, I didn't treat him as my son and treated him as an outsider. One day, the drunk Mu Zhe wanted to forcefully molest Liani, but he wasn't Liani's match. In a fit of anger, Liani beat him up until he vomited blood. Instantly, Mu Zhe had hatred in his heart and immediately left the Mu clan docs to seek refuge with the Raging Flames Castle. He spread the news that the Mu clan had the fire immunity chilling pearl. Therefore, the Raging Flames Castle sent out a marriage proposal to Liani and named the fire immunity chilling pearl as her dowry. They wanted the Mu clan docs to give a reply within 10 days. Humph, such an ungrateful person. I must dismember him into pieces. Yang Dingtian sneered. Mu Lianqing said, "To be honest, I have seen through everything in my life. No matter how precious the fire immunity chilling pearl is, I don't care. If the Raging Flames Castle wanted the fire immunity chilling pearl, I would give it to them. However, I wasn't willing to push my daughter into the fire pit. That Raging Flames Castle's young lord was a complete beast, but I couldn't find a reason to reject their marriage proposal. Therefore, I set up a martial contest to find a groom, hoping to marry Lieni to a good man within 10 days. This way, I would have a reason to reject. Following which, Mu Liancheng said to Yang Dingtian, "But now that young lord is here, everything will be easier. I will hand this fire immunity chilling pearl and the scroll to you. You can take it and leave immediately." "Then what about the Mu clan docks?" Yang Dingtian asked. Mu Liancheng laughed and said, "I am not afraid of death, but I am afraid of dying unworthy. Furthermore, I should have died long ago. Now that I can repay the city lord's kindness, I will be happy even if I die. However, if young lord is willing and isn't afraid of being a burden, please bring my daughter along with you. Be it as a slave or a servant, it will be her fortune. I will not agree to it." Yang Dingtian said resolutely, "I will not stand by and do nothing regarding the Mu clan docks. If I don't settle this matter, I will not leave." "Young lord," Mu Liancheng said loudly, "Cloud Heaven City's matters are of utmost importance. If you can't even do a small matter well, how can you talk about doing something big?" Yang Dingtian said, "Furthermore, I am not afraid to tell you the truth. I do need the fire immunity chilling pearl, but if I don't settle the Mu clan docks problem, I will not accept this pearl. But the Raging Flames Castle is too powerful, and we are not their match." Mu Liancheng said. Yang Dingtian said, "I said before that if I can't do it, there is still Big Brother Shimen Lai and the others. Our Cloud Heaven City might have a drastic change, but it is still easy to eliminate the Raging Flames Castle." "It is too late, young lord." Mu Liancheng said, "Tomorrow, the Raging Flames Castle's young lord will personally come to marry Lieni." "What is the cultivation of the Raging Flames Castle's young lord?" Yang Dingtian asked. "The Raging Flames Castle's young lord might be licentious and ruthless, but he is a martial arts prodigy within 1,000 miles. He is 25 years old this year and is unrivaled within 1,000 miles. I think he is at least a 9-star mystic martial warrior." Mu Liancheng said. A 9-star mystic martial warrior was 6 grades higher than Yang Dingtian. Now that Yang Dingtian couldn't use the Night Owl Giant Sword, it was indeed hard for him to win. Furthermore, in order to not expose his identity, Yang Dingtian couldn't use a sword and had to use a lance as a weapon. Therefore, it was even harder for him to win. However, Yang Dingtian still had a chance to advance, and that was the second rank of the pig-slaying sword art. If he could advance to a 5-star mystic martial warrior, then Yang Dingtian would have the confidence to defeat the Raging Flames Castle's young lord. "Father." At this moment, a crisp and pleasant voice echoed from outside. "It is my daughter, Lieni. Let her come and greet the young lord." Mu Liancheng said with joy. Chapter 126. "It's my daughter, Lieni. Let her pay a visit to young lord." Mu Liancheng said. "No hurry." Yang Dingtian said, "I won't tell her my identity for now. I am afraid that she will expose herself in front of others." Mu Liancheng paused for a moment and nodded. "That's good too. Lieni is still too young." Following which, he asked outside, "Lieni, what's wrong?" The three of them are waiting anxiously and are asking when the martial arts tournament will begin. Mu Lieni said from outside. "It will begin immediately. Ask them to go to the martial arts arena immediately. You guys go first." "I will go now." Mu Liancheng said. "All right, father." Mu Lieni replied and left. Mu Liancheng said, "Young lord must be hungry. I will get someone to prepare some food and wine. There is no hurry to eat. Let's go to the martial arts arena to take a look." Yang Dingtian said, the Mu Clan Doc's martial arts arena was naturally incomparable to the Cloud Heaven cities. It was only about 1,000 square meters and was paved with bricks. Here, Yang Dingtian saw Mu Lianyi, this great beauty that spanned a few hundred miles. She was indeed beautiful, but she was different from Dongfang Bingling and Shimin Yanyan. She was filled with a wild beauty, a healthy beauty, and a vibrant beauty. Her skin wasn't snow white but a healthy wheat color. She had a pair of big eyes, a high nose bridge, and an exquisite and delicate mouth. This was a beautiful and wild face that didn't lack in magnanimity. Perhaps it was because she often went into the sea to collect pearls, but her delicate body was filled with strength. Her entire body was like a water snake. Her small waist might be thin, but it gave off a feeling of strength. Her pair of slender legs were the most beautiful that Yang Dingtian had ever seen. On the martial arts arena, there were dozens of Mu clan dock servants, armed guards, and 3 of Mu Lianqing's adopted sons. This group of people were all looking at Mu Lianyi with admiration. Only the 3 young men who came to participate in the martial arts tournament were looking at Mu Lianyi with fervent and infatuation. Mu Lianyi's dressing was completely different from that of ordinary ladies. In order to make it easier for her to go into the water, she mostly wore tight-fitting leather clothes made of snakeskin. However, exquisite armor was inlaid on her shoulders, chest, and crotch. Although this kind of clothing was very convenient to move around, it also revealed her figure without a doubt. Mu Lianyi glanced at the crowd and saw Yang Dingtian, the newcomer. She paused for a moment and then immediately looked away. "Heroes, I have said it many times. If you want to marry me, you may suffer the revenge of the Raging Flames Pavilion. The Mu family dock is small and cannot resist. At that time, you may be implicated and even lose your lives. So, it is not too late to back out now." Mu Lianyi's voice was very pleasant. It was clear, loud, and decisive, like the sound of pearls falling on a silver plate. Moreover, her gaze naturally carried a special kind of burning electricity. Being electrified by her gaze, the 3 young men immediately felt their blood boil. They patted their chests and said, "For Miss, what do we have to fear? Yes, for Miss to not fall into the hands of evil, even if we lose our heads, it is worth it." After hearing this, Mu Lianyi said, "Mu Lianyi writes here to thank you for your love. However, if you want to marry me, you must first defeat me. I am a 6-star mystic martial warrior. If you can't even defeat me, then you are naturally not a match for that bastard from the Raging Flames Pavilion." This hot beauty Mu Lianyi was actually a 6-star mystic martial warrior. She was 3 levels higher than Yang Dingtian. However, if they fought, Yang Dingtian was confident that he could defeat her. In the end, Mu Lianyi suddenly pulled out the scimitar at her waist and said, "Who wants to fight first?" "I will." A thunderous roar was heard. Then, a 1.9-meter-tall strong man with a long scimitar walked onto the stage. He was really as strong as a rhinoceros. His muscles were as hard as steel. The scimitar in his hand weighed at least 300 to 400 pounds, but it was effortless for him to carry it. Mu Lianyi was not much taller than him, but in front of his bull-like body, she appeared petite and slender. It was as if he could break Mu Lianyi's delicate body with one punch. "My name is Nyo Dali. I come from the Sky Dragon Mountain 800 miles away. I am the young master of the Sky Dragon Village. One day, I went down the mountain to rob and saw Miss carrying pearls. I was shocked by Miss's beauty and forgot to rob her. I only woke up after Miss left. After that, I gave an order to all the heroes within a few hundred miles. If anyone dares to rob the Mu clan's carriage again, I, Nyo Dali, will kill their entire family." Nyo Dali patted his chest and said, "Miss, I know I am not good enough for you, but I couldn't help but come down the mountain when I heard about your martial arts competition. I don't even dare to look at you, let alone think about marrying you. However, if anyone dares to bully you, I will fight them to the death." Once he said this, everyone burst into laughter. They looked at this strong man with good feelings. Yang Dingtian also couldn't help but laugh. This Nyo Dali was indeed a cute and straightforward person. After hearing this, Mu Lianyi bowed and said, "Thank you, big brother Nyo. Don't look at me like that. I can't take it. Nyo Dali suddenly became very embarrassed. His face instantly turned red. He held his scimitar tightly and said, "Miss, let's start fighting. Otherwise, I will forget all the moves in my head." "Okay, big brother Nyo, please guide me." Muliani swung her scimitar and pointed it at Nyo Dali. Huff. Nyo Dali's expression changed. He was immediately filled with confidence and jumped onto the arena. "I'm Cui Yiping. I come from the Yellow Sea Sword sect 3,000 miles away. I traveled here and did not expect to find such a beautiful lady in such a remote place. However, I'm from a famous sword sect and will not be misled by beauty. Therefore, I'm not here for beauty. I'm here to help when I see injustice." Although Cui Yiping said this, his eyes could not help but stare at Muliani's charming face and hot body. "Please enlighten me." Muliani's attitude towards Cui Yiping was not so good. She nodded and straightened her scimitar. Cui Yiping was annoyed. Seeing that Muliani's attitude towards him was not as good as Nyo Dali's, he sneered, "Miss, my martial arts is not a knockoff." With that, Cui Yiping took out his longsword and formed a sword art. With a twist of his wrist, a sword flower appeared. It was indeed very beautiful. "I'm a one-star mystic martial warrior." "Be careful, Mississippi," Cui Yiping shouted. The sword in his hand emitted a sword light. He became one with the sword and stabbed towards Muliani's chest like a meteor. Boom! Muliani's scimitar ignited with a ball of fire. She aimed at the attacker and slashed. Bang! Cui Yiping's sword and body flew dozens of meters away and fell to the ground. Cui Yiping's sword moves were elegant and powerful. However, Muliani defeated him with only one move. Everyone was stunned. Then, they burst into laughter. Cui Yiping climbed up from the ground in a sorry state. His face was full of resentment. "Country barbarian girl, you don't know what's good for you. You're opportunistic and full of brute strength. I'll wash away today's humiliation." With that, Cui Yiping turned around and left. Everyone burst into laughter again. However, Yang Dingtian did not laugh. Cui Yiping was a genuine one-star mystic martial warrior. He did not expect Muliani to defeat him with one move. It seemed that her strength was far beyond his imagination. Nyo Dali and Cui Yiping had both been defeated. Now, only Yang Dingtian and another black-clothed man were left. Everyone looked at them. The black-clothed man also looked at Yang Dingtian with a questioning gaze. Yang Dingtian shook his head, indicating that he would not fight. That black-clothed man suddenly jumped onto the stage. Nameless Jia Ming pays his respects to young lady. The black-clothed man had an ordinary appearance. Only his eyes were deep and bright. "Greetings to Mr. Muliani bowed. Immediately after, the black-clothed Jia Ming slowly drew his weapon. It was a black iron ruler. Even from a distance, Yang Dingtian could feel the special energy on the iron ruler. This was an expert. It was obvious that Muliani and Mulianqing felt it too. Their expressions turned grave. Huff! Jia Ming pointed his iron ruler. His entire body was like a zombie as he attacked Muliani with lightning speed. Muliani was shocked. She parried with her curved saber and her delicate body suddenly bounced up. Bang! There was a muffled collision sound. There were no flames. Instead, Muliani's water-like saber blade was instantly contaminated and turned black. At the same time, Muliani's face suddenly turned pale. It was obvious that she was injured from this collision. This person's moves were strange, and so was his weapon. Muliani's delicate body quickly retreated. She used her nimble movement skills to try and evade the opponent. Instantly, she shuttled back and forth on the stage like a shadow. Muliani was fast, but this Jia Ming was even faster. He was like a black ghost that arrived in an instant. He was like a ghost that constantly stuck close to Muliani. Bang! Muliani's chest was struck. Bang! Immediately after, she was struck below her waist. Bang! Then, she was struck on the side of her leg. Instantly, everyone present was infuriated. This Jia Ming's moves were simply despicable. Shameless. Muliani was extremely embarrassed and angry. She no longer dodged and brandished her curved saber. Her body suddenly burst out with intense mystic qi as she charged towards Jia Ming. In an instant, Muliani was in front of Jia Ming. Her curved saber suddenly slashed towards his shoulder. Huff! Suddenly, Jia Ming's figure disappeared in front of her eyes. Bang! Immediately after, Muliani felt a pain on her back. Jia Ming's figure had flashed behind her and slapped her perky butt with his iron ruler. This person's moves were strange and were as fast as a ghost. It was impossible to defend against. Furthermore, every move was despicable and unsightly. Everyone present was instantly infuriated. Furthermore, Muliani was a 6-star mystic martial warrior, but she wasn't a match for him. I will fight it out with you. Under the embarrassment and anger, Muliani straightened her delicate body and suddenly leaned back. Her curved saber was like a snake as it slashed towards Jia Ming's waist. Bang! Jia Ming's iron ruler suddenly slammed down towards Muliani's chest. Yang Dingtian's expression changed as he spoke to Mu Liancheng. Uncle Mu, this person's background is unknown. He seems to be from the evil Dao. Mu Liancheng's body was trembling. He held onto a concealed weapon and was ready to shoot it out at any moment. But this was a martial arts competition, and he couldn't break the rules. Seeing the black iron ruler slamming towards her chest, Muliani quickly reversed her curved saber and used it to block Jia Ming's iron ruler. Bang! The two weapons fiercely clashed. Suddenly, a strange and soft force drilled into Muliani's arm. She felt that wherever this force went, her own power was like mud sinking into the ocean. She was swallowed alive. Her delicate body went limp and directly fell to the ground. Jia Ming sneered and suddenly went forward. He thrust his iron ruler at Muliani's chest and was about to tear open her leather armor. Muliani was shocked as her delicate body rolled. SSS. The iron ruler tore open the snakeskin on Muliani's chest, revealing the skin inside. Shameless. I will kill you. Muliani was infuriated as she pressed down on the leather armor on her chest and quickly dodged. However, her lower abdomen was exposed. All is fair in war. You have fallen into my trap. Jia Ming yelled out as the iron ruler in his hand suddenly extended a few feet and struck at Muliani's lower abdomen where her chi vessel was. Ah! Muliani screamed as her delicate body flew over 10 meters away. She spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered, almost falling off the arena. Young miss, it seems that I have won. Jia Ming smiled proudly. It's too early to say that. Muliani sneered. Sea snake transformation. She suddenly yelled out as her beautiful eyes shot out a blue and enchanting light. In an instant, her delicate body turned into a snake and shot towards Jia Ming like lightning. Swoosh 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 swoosh. Muliani's delicate body moved like lightning in the air like a snake. The curved saber in her hand turned into countless saber lights and slashed towards Jia Ming. It was incomparably fast, incomparably strange, incomparably fast, and incomparably fierce. Yang Dingtian was shocked. After Muliani used the sea snake transformation, her lethality had increased by several times. Whether it was her speed or strength, they had all become much stronger. This sea snake transformation was Muliani's trump card. She would only use it at the most crucial moment. Ichthyosaur transformation. Jia Ming, who was in the middle of the arena, roared out. There was a roar in the sky as a giant black shadow rushed out and devoured Muliani's sea snake. In an instant, the two gray shadows were engaged in a fierce battle. In just a few seconds, the victor was decided. PFFF. Muliani's delicate body flew over 10 meters as she spat out a mouthful of blood. Liani. Mu Lianqing was shocked as he rushed into the air and hugged his daughter. When Niu Dali saw that Mu Lianyi was injured, he was instantly enraged. He brandished his large saber and rushed towards Jia Ming. He roared, "You dare to injure young Miss Mu? I will dismember you into pieces." Niu Dali's saber was brandishing crazily as he pushed all his strength to the limits. With a thunderous roar, he attacked Jia Ming. Jia Ming sneered as he extended the iron ruler in his hand and lightly tapped on Niu Dali's large saber. In an instant, Niu Dali's mountain-like body flew out violently as blood spurted out from his 7 orifices. That large saber was broken inch by inch. Bang! There was a loud sound as Niu Dali's body smashed a giant pit on the ground. He was drenched in blood and unconscious. Niu Dali couldn't even withstand half a move from Jia Ming. Everyone had a drastic change in expression. This Jia Ming was actually this formidable. Tisk, tsk. All of you can't even withstand a single blow. Such soft-footed shrimps still have the face to participate in the marriage martial contest. Jia Ming sneered and said, "I am definitely taking young Miss Mu. My wife, I have already shown mercy. Otherwise, you would have been naked in front of everyone. I purposely didn't injure you too severely so that the bridal chamber would lose its flavor." Haha, once he said this, everyone was instantly enraged. Mu Lianqing's foster sons all drew their weapons and were prepared to go up for battle. Mu Lianqing quickly channeled his mystic qi to recuperate his daughter's injuries and didn't have the time to speak. When he saw his foster sons preparing to go up, he immediately shouted, "You are not allowed to go." Seeing that no one went up to accept the challenge, Jia Ming laughed heartily and said, "You are indeed a bunch of trash. Then I shall pay my respects to father-in-law. Hurry up and get married. I am already salivating for the bridal chamber." Jia Ming's words were getting increasingly shameless. He looked at Mu Lianyi, who was recuperating, and stared at her body. His expression was getting increasingly evil. "Sir, if I didn't guess wrongly, you shouldn't be called Jia Ming, right?" Yang Dingtian suddenly spoke with a cold voice. "Of course. Even a fool can tell." Jia Ming sneered. "You are from the Raging Flames Pavilion?" Yang Dingtian asked coldly. "That's right. I am the Raging Flames Castle's young lord, Tuobayi. Why did you bunch of fools only realize it now?" The black-clothed man sneered and said, "Old man Mu, don't think that this marriage martial contest will prevent your daughter from marrying me. You will still not be able to escape from my palm. Hand over your daughter and the pearl obediently. Otherwise, your Mu clan docs will be exterminated," following which, Jia Ming brandished the black iron ruler in his hand and roared with arrogance, "I will ask one last time. Who else wants to compete with me for the beauty and the pearl? If not, the beauty and the pearl will be mine." Ha 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 ha. Letting out a soft sigh, Yang Dingtian grabbed the saddle and slammed it on the ground before leaping onto the martial contest stage. Note, the second update of 5,500 words was delivered, and it was updated with 10,000 words again. The monthly votes really made one want to cry. Brothers, don't be like this. Chapter 127. Letting out a soft sigh, Yang Dingtian grabbed the lance and slammed it on the ground before leaping onto the martial stage. "No!" Mu Lianqing immediately yelled out, "My daughter is a 6-star mystic martial warrior, and even with the sea snake transformation, she still lost. Young Hero Yen, you aren't a match for him. Come down, I don't have any confidence either." Yang Dingtian looked at Mu Lianqing and said, "But not everything needs to be done when you are confident. There are some things that must be done." When Jia Ming saw Yang Dingtian coming up, he immediately laughed out loud and said, "So there is someone who doesn't want to live. Just nice, I will chop off your head and use it as a urinal." Immediately after, Tuobaye's body burst out with a lump of black aura. His entire body and the iron ruler in his hand instantly expanded by several folds. He was like a dark giant demon as he slammed down at Yang Dingtian. "Kid, I was just playing with this chick earlier on. Now, I will let you see my true strength." The giant iron ruler engulfed this black figure and attacked at Yang Dingtian. Tuoba was a demon that was famous in the radius of 1,000 miles. He committed all kinds of evil deeds, was mysterious, and powerful. No one expected him to appear at the Mu Clan Doc's martial contest for marriage. "I want to see how strong you are and what is so strange about your black mystic aura," Yang Dingtian thought in his heart. He lifted the lance and smashed it at Tuoba's iron ruler. Bang! There was a dull and loud sound. A lump of black figure extended along the lance and instantly entered Yang Dingtian's palm. In an instant, Yang Dingtian felt that wherever the black figure passed by, his arm would feel sore and weak. He didn't even have a trace of strength and couldn't even grab onto the lance that weighed a few kilograms. Not good. Yang Dingtian quickly retreated over 10 feet. When Tuoba saw that Yang Dingtian was at a disadvantage, he laughed heartily and instantly appeared in front of Yang Dingtian like a shifting shadow. His speed was actually much faster than Yang Dingtian. Subsequently, the ferocious iron ruler smashed towards Yang Dingtian's chest. "Be careful!" The audience cried out in alarm. Mu Liancheng couldn't be bothered to heal his daughter as the hidden weapon in his hand shot out like lightning towards Tuoba. With a flash of light, Mu Liancheng's hidden weapon was intercepted in midair. Then, a voice came from the horizon. It said coldly, "Mu Clan leader, let's have a proper competition for marriage. Don't break the rules." Mu Liancheng's expression changed. This person didn't even show himself and was able to destroy his hidden weapon. It was obvious that this person's cultivation level was higher than his, and from the sound of his voice, he wasn't any younger than him. It was obvious that Tuoba wasn't the only one who came. There were other experts from the Raging Flames Castle, and their cultivation levels were higher than Tuoba's. At this moment, Tuoba's iron ruler had already smashed onto Yang Dingtian's chest. "You can die now." Tuoba laughed loudly. Yang Dingtian staggered back a few steps due to the intense pain. However, he was completely unscathed. The blackness didn't even touch his chest. "How is that possible? You actually didn't die after being struck in the heart by me?" Tuoba was shocked. Yang Dingtian took a few more steps back and maintained a distance from Tuoba. Yang Dingtian might be at a disadvantage in the first two moves, but he was able to probe the opponent's depth. That's right. This person's cultivation level was higher than his, but with Yang Dingtian's 9 Yang Mystic Meridians, he wouldn't be at a disadvantage as long as it wasn't a battle that was beyond his cultivation level. This person's cultivation definitely wasn't above the Mystic Martial Master standard and was even inferior to Qin Xiaobai. Even though Jiang Yi wasn't using the Night Owl Giant Sword and was using a horse lance without any Mystic Qi enhancement, the opponent's Mystic Qi level wasn't enough to injure him. The truly fatal thing was the poison in the opponent's Mystic Qi. That's right, it was the poison in the Mystic Qi. With just a slight touch, the poisonous Mystic Qi would enter the body and immediately destroy the Mystic Meridians that the poisonous Qi passed through. The victim would immediately feel weak and wouldn't be able to use any Mystic Qi. Thus, even though Mu Lian's cultivation was higher than Yang Dingtian, she was still at a disadvantage. The poison in the Mystic Qi was like a bug. Even if one's Mystic Qi was stronger than Tuoba's by a few levels, it would immediately be dissolved by the poisonous Qi upon contact. The victim would become extremely weak and would be at the mercy of the opponent. Furthermore, the opponent's speed was extremely fast. It was hard to hit the opponent, but it was extremely easy for the opponent to hit you. There were truly all sorts of strange things in this world. Jiang Yi was actually able to see someone practicing the poisonous Mystic Qi in the southwest desolate land. Everyone knew that poison humans wanted to poison themselves. Those who practiced the poisonous Mystic Qi might be formidable, but they would definitely have a short lifespan. However, as long as one grasped the opponent's specialty, there would be a way to neutralize it. Tuoba's speed was fast, his footwork was strange, and his Mystic Qi was poisonous. The way to neutralize it was to not clash with his weapon. Instead, one had to get close to his body and seize the opportunity to break through his defense before launching a torrential attack. Yan Nantian, you aren't a match for him. Come down quickly. Let us discuss this at length. Mu Liancheng yelled out from below. Yang Dingtian closed his eyes and started to recall the opponent's strange footwork. He then searched for the flaws and rearranged the pig-slaying swordsmanship to form a set of perfect attack routes and moves. The pig-slaying swordsmanship could be considered as the #1 mystical sword art in the world. It wasn't just the mystic chi, but also the moves and footwork. As long as one practiced the sword countless times, one could casually disassemble and rearrange the 9 moves. The more Yang Dingtian used the pig-slaying swordsmanship, the more he felt how profound it was. Seeing Yang Dingtian closing his eyes, Tuobayi laughed loudly and said, "Why? Are you pretending to be dead?" Finishing his statement, Tuobayi's figure moved like a ghost and instantly appeared in front of Yang Dingtian. The iron ruler in his hand smashed down at Yang Dingtian's head. He relied on the fact that his mystic chi was poisonous and his speed was fast. These two characteristics were truly fearless. In an instant, Yang Dingtian opened his eyes and saw Tuobayi's iron ruler. He leaned back and avoided the danger of his head being smashed, but his lower abdomen's chi vessel was completely exposed. Of course, Yang Dingtian was taking a risk and gambling. He bet that Tuobayi would attack his chi vessel and not his lower body. Because his chi vessel was protected by the deep-sea mystic clothes, and his lower body wasn't protected at all. If he gambled wrongly, the consequences would be unimaginable. As expected, when Tuobayi saw Yang Dingtian's chi vessel exposed, he was instantly delighted. He let out a sinister smile and smashed down at Yang Dingtian's chi vessel with his astounding aura. He had used up almost all his mystic chi and wanted to smash Yang Dingtian into smithereens. No! Mu Liancheng couldn't hold it in any longer. He leaped into midair and pounced at Tuobayi like an eagle hunting a rabbit. Bang! There was a burst of yell in the air as a gray figure instantly appeared and clashed with Mu Liancheng's palm. Mu Liancheng's body turned sluggish and fell to the ground. He took over a dozen steps back and felt his blood surging. Before everyone could see the face of that gray figure, he had already vanished without a trace at an even faster speed. His footwork was several times faster than Tuobayi's and was also several times more bizarre. However, since the two were of the same lineage, it was obvious that this person should be Tuobayi's master. Mu Liancheng, if you dare to interfere with the fairness of the martial arts competition, don't blame me for being merciless. That gray figure's voice echoed in midair. At the same moment, there was a loud bang as Tuobayi's iron ruler smashed onto Yang Dingtian's chi vessel. PFFF. Yang Dingtian spat out a blood arrow that was a few feet long, and his body fell straight to the ground. Ah! Mu Liancheng let out a cry of despair. The chi vessel was the most important place for a martial artist. Once the chi vessel was struck, the martial artist would definitely be smashed into pieces and die on the spot. But when Yang Dingtian's back was stuck to the ground, he abruptly kicked towards Tuobayi's crotch. It was fast and sharp. Be careful! The gray figure exclaimed. Tuobayi was currently looking at Mu Lianyi complacently. When he heard his master's exclamation, he instantly felt a chill at his crotch and was frightened out of his wits. If his crotch was kicked, he might not die, but a man's most important place would definitely turn into a pile of mud. It would truly be a fate worse than death. At this moment, Tuobayi's body was really like a ghost as he suddenly rose over a dozen meters like a spring and shot into the sky. Even so, his lower body was still swept by Yang Dingtian's foot. He instantly felt an intense pain as he let out a miserable yell in midair and stopped his movements. Now is the time! Yang Dingtian yelled out as he smashed the lance on the ground and shot himself into midair. Swish! In midair, Yang Dingtian's body turned upside down. Pig-slaying sword art's fourth move, dig out the heart and lungs. Pig-slaying sword art's fifth move, cleanse the intestines. Pig-slaying sword art's sixth move, stomp the four limbs. Bang, 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 bang. Making use of the intense pain in Tuoba Ye's lower body to slow down his movements, Yang Dingtian's lance was like a torrential storm as he smashed it at Tuoba Ye. One lance, one lance, one lance. In an instant, dozens of lance attacks were launched. In midair, Tuoba Ye was vomiting blood violently while his body was emitting sounds of being thrashed. Finally, Yang Dingtian aimed his lance at Tuoba Ye's head and smashed it down. Pig-slaying sword art's third move, beheading the head. In an instant, Tuoba Ye's head was smashed into meat paste. Bang! Suddenly, a gray figure flashed from afar. Then, an extremely powerful energy cleaved at Yang Dingtian's chest. Yang Dingtian felt suffocated as his body flew over a dozen meters and was about to fall off the stage. Hooking his legs to the corner of the stage, Yang Dingtian forcefully stood up while a mouthful of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. However, Tuoba Ye, who was supposed to be dead for sure, flipped in midair like a loach and landed on the ground. He then took a few steps back and stood still. Shameless! Yang Dingtian yelled at the gray figure, "Sir, you keep saying that this is a fair contest and that you don't allow Mu clan head to interfere. But just when Tuoba Ye was about to lose, you sneak attacked me. You are truly shameless. What face do you have left to be a senior? Have you lived for so many years in vain?" That's right. Tuoba Ye's master must have sneak attacked Yang Dingtian at the last moment and caused him to fail. Originally, Yang Dingtian's final lance attack was about to destroy Tuoba Ye. This was an opportunity that he risked his life for. Right now, it would be too difficult for him to kill Tuoba Ye with a single strike. The moment Yang Dingtian finished speaking, that gray figure said coldly, "Kid, be careful of your loose lips. I can kill you as easily as stepping on an ant. Is there anything a shameless person like you won't do? I don't fear death. Why do you have to threaten me with death?" Yang Dingtian sneered and said, "You are the one who is shameless, and you don't allow others to talk about it? Kid, you will regret it." The gray figure's sinister voice echoed in midair. He still didn't reveal himself and then went silent. Right now, Tuoba Ye's body was drenched in blood and riddled with injuries. However, his body was very strange, as though it was soaked in some poison. Therefore, his body was like a natural armor. Yang Dingtian smashed him dozens of times with the lance, but he didn't die. Even a few of his bones weren't broken. Of course, Yang Dingtian's weapon was too weak. If it was the Night Owl Giant Sword or the Elementary Sword Soul, Tuoba Ye would have been dismembered into pieces. "Tuoba Ye, you have lost. So get lost," Yang Dingtian said coldly. Tuoba Ye wiped the fresh blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Yang Dingtian with extremely venomous eyes. He sneered and said, "I have lost? Isn't it too early for you to say such words?" Finishing his statement, Tuoba Ye's eyes shot out a demonic radiance while his body arched. Pa 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 pa. His body let out a series of explosive sounds before he suddenly emitted balls of black aura. His body was constantly expanding. Moments later, Tuoba Ye became like a devil and malicious spirit. His entire body was hideous and completely deformed. He was over 3 meters tall. Right now, not only did he completely recover his cultivation, but his mystic chi had also increased drastically. It was obvious that he was using an evil art to overdraft his mystic chi. Yang Dingtian had injured him, and he had to dismember Yang Dingtian into pieces. I've said it before. Mu Lianyi is mine. The treasured pearl is also mine. If anyone dares to obstruct me, I'll make sure you die without a burial ground. Tuoba Ye suddenly roared out before howling towards the sky. Ichthyosaur transformation. Earlier on, he had used the Ichthyosaur transformation to instantly defeat the 6-star mystic martial artist, Mu Lianyi. Right now, not only did he execute the Ichthyosaur transformation, but he also used an evil art to increase his cultivation. His power was much stronger than the previous Ichthyosaur transformation. In an instant, Tuoba turned into an incomparably huge black shadow and rushed at Yang Dingtian like a devil's whirlwind. Boom 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 boom. In an instant, there were loud sounds. It was as though the martial stage was covered in black clouds. Yang Dingtian, come down quickly. Mu Liancheng exclaimed as his palm cleaved at Yang Dingtian and wanted to use his mystic qi to push Yang Dingtian away. PFFF. There was a powerful mystic qi that blocked Mu Liancheng's mystic qi. It was that grey shadow again. He wanted to kill Yang Dingtian under the berserk Tuoba Ye's ichthyosaur transformation. Shameless! Mu Liancheng roared with rage as his eye sockets were about to crack. In an instant, Tuoba Ye's black shadow enveloped Yang Dingtian. This ichthyosaur transformation was Tuoba Ye's trump card. Earlier on, he had used this ichthyosaur transformation to break Mu Lianyi's sea serpent transformation and send Mu Lianyi flying for dozens of meters. Back then, Tuoba Yi had only used 50% of the ichthyosaur transformation. Right now, in order to kill Yang Dingtian, he was using 120% of the ichthyosaur transformation. In an instant, Yang Dingtian was completely engulfed by the black shadow. Countless ice blades, incomparable mystic qi, and countless poisonous gases were violently crushing and assaulting his body. In an instant, Yang Dingtian felt as though he was struck by countless huge hammers and as though his heart was pierced by thousands of arrows. Pong 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 pong. There were countless attacks on Yang Dingtian's body. PFFF PFFF PFFF. Yang Dingtian's blood was like a fountain as it surged out while his body was instantly filled with wounds. Because this black gas was filled with lethal poison, Yang Dingtian felt that his mystic qi was rapidly disappearing. His body heat and blood were also rapidly draining away. In an instant, he felt ice-cold while his vision turned black. This ichthyosaur transformation was indeed horrifying and powerful. Yang Dingtian didn't even have any chance to retaliate. I didn't die in the hands of Qin Xiaobai and didn't die in the hands of the martial supreme Shiminju. I actually died in the hands of a mere Tuoba Yi. Yang Dingtian thought in his heart. If he had used the Night Owl Giant Sword, he wouldn't have such an outcome. However, Yang Dingtian still didn't regret. He would never use the Night Owl Giant Sword again. Just as Yang Dingtian was about to be crushed into pieces, he suddenly felt that this ichthyosaur transformation was very familiar. Soon, he realized that the dragonfish transformation was very similar to the devil-devouring sword array that Qin Xiaobai had once used. Following that, he immediately realized that it wasn't just similar. It was completely the devil-devouring sword array. Furthermore, it was a knockoff version of the devil-devouring sword array. It was just that it was packaged with a layer of poisonous gas. He didn't expect for Tuoba Yi to know the knockoff version of the devil-devouring sword array. This was a cultivation art of evil ways. Devil-devouring sword array. Then I can break it with my eyes closed. Yang Dingtian sneered and circulated all the mystic qi in his body. He aimed at the strongest, most dangerous, and most frenzied corner and rushed out with lightning speed. This was the only flaw of the devil-devouring sword array. At this moment, Mu Liancheng was already in battle with that grey shadow. Everyone was looking at the contest stage in despair. Even Mu Lianyi had a sorrowful expression. It was obvious that everyone thought that Yang Dingtian had died under Tuoba Ye's ichthyosaur transformation. Bang! Suddenly, there was a loud sound. Yang Dingtian's figure suddenly rushed out from that black shadow and rushed out of the horrifying devil-devouring sword array. Ah! Everyone exclaimed and looked at this scene in disbelief. Even Tuoba Yi was completely stunned. He had such a mystical and powerful ichthyosaur transformation, but Yang Dingtian didn't die and even broke out of the array. How was this possible? Now, you can die. Yang Dingtian suddenly leaped into the air and entered the ichthyosaur transformation's black shadow. He raised the horse lance in his hand and aimed at one of the black shadows before smashing it down. PFFF. Fresh blood splattered. Ah! There was an incomparably mournful cry. The ichthyosaur transformation's giant whirlwind shadow vanished without a trace. Tuobayi let out a miserable cry as his body flew out dozens of meters like a straw. His skull cracked open and fresh blood was gushing out, but he wasn't dead yet. Everyone was completely stunned. What was going on? Not only did Yang Dingtian break the ichthyosaur transformation, but he also cracked Tuobayi's skull. Tuobayi was even stronger than Mu Lianyi, and Mu Lianyi's mystic chi grade was also superior to Yang Dingtian. The Grey Shadow and Mu Liancheng stopped fighting and looked at the stage with astonishment. Yang Dingtian looked at Tuobayi, who was vomiting blood on the ground, and said, "You have lost, so you can't marry Mu Lianyi. Go back to your Raging Flames castle obediently." Note, requesting for a few monthly votes. You're tuning into the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.